Good morning. Today is Thursday, June 9th, 2022 at about 10:09 a.m. This is the meeting of the Streets, Traffic and Refuse Committee meeting, and it is called to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Vaccaro,
Present.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Present.
Alderman Bosley, Alderwoman Schweitzer,
Present.
Alderwoman Peel,
Present.
Chairwoman Tyus.
Present.
Five present, you have quorum.
Alderwoman Peel, did I not get something from you this morning saying you weren't going to be here?
I said I could be partially here.
Oh, okay. I'm like, okay, this is a twin here.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so this is the beginning of a refuse investigation. I need you all to know that I've been on refuse since I got elected, streets since I got elected in 1991. The only 2 years I wasn't on streets is when two former alder people wanted to harass the current mayor because she was the city treasurer. And so I was taken off of streets because they did not want me to correct the inaccurate things they were saying. So we got into a lot of fights on the floor because our mayor was then the treasurer and they did some really unfair things to her. And I was one of her biggest supporters to take up for her. Equally, when you don't do right, I'm one of your biggest critics. I've been around for a long time. I've watched the trash service. This is the worst I've seen the trash service ever in all the 31 years I've been involved with the city of St. Louis. I'm really disappointed in it. Every single day, I am now getting, for the last couple of weeks now, didn't pick up my trash, skipped my trash. I've been getting it all along. And I want to say again, Randy, if anything you ask Randy to do, he does it. He does it. He is the most can-do person, one of the most can-do people I know in city government. And I'm a hard person to work with. So if I heap praise on you like that, that's because you deserve it. I'm not blowing smoke. He just is. I had other good people. I was so sad to see Will Young leave because I was nothing I could ask of Will Young. When he would clean an alley, I would get pictures back saying, Alderwoman, who did this alley? Wow, this is wonderful. They got this so clean. Those are city workers that you want to reward. You do not want them leaving. In the last couple of weeks, months, really, since I became the chairwoman of streets, I've been getting notices from city workers who work in refuse about the problems they were having there, particularly the problems they were having with Todd Walterman. Particularly also with you, Director Williams, and the unfairness that they felt that was going on in city refuse. And I know this not to be a recent problem because when Freeman Bosley became the mayor in 1993, one of the first things we had a meeting about in the mayor's office was what was going on in refuse. I put this all in an email that I sent to you, Director Williams. And it was about a lot of the Black workers feeling like they were being treated unfairly and the racism that was going on there. And I had talked to Nick Young, who was the refuse commissioner then. And when the mayor brought him in to say, what did I say? I said, Nick Young, I told the mayor that you were racist. And I tell you that, don't I? And he said, yes, you do, Alderwoman. I don't talk behind people's back. I don't bite my tongue. And things that I believe are racist. I'm 66 years old. I've experienced a lot of stuff through civil rights. Martin Luther King was killed down in Memphis, standing up for the Black refuse workers, trash workers. So I don't like that. I don't like when white people are treated wrong. That's why I'm equally vocal about Randy Breitenfeld, who is not Black. I'm equally vocal because I think he's been treated wrong. So I don't like that. I like for people to be treated fairly in our city government and that people like to work for our government and we're proud of our government and that we do the very best, fairest job that we can. I don't like laws broken. I don't like irresponsible leadership that says, oh, I can pick up once over in this part of the town and twice in this other part of the town because if you do that, you better get a legal opinion, and then you better look up something called the Hancock Amendment so you will know you can't do that. I had to just get really quiet, Ms. Williams, because I'm very irritated with the things that I read that you said in the paper, because I know you're probably almost young enough to be my child. I don't throw racism around for no reason, okay? And when you say things like, and I'm hoping that you're misquoted, oh, it ain't about racism, it's about bulk and pickup. That shows me how really you do not understand how badly North St. Louis has been treated in trash pickup over the last 30 years. And that's called systemic racism, okay? And your generation sometimes wants to say, we started the world today. The world didn't start today. The things that occur have gone on for years and years and years, and nobody's making this up. So I don't throw that out. You might say, I don't know about the racism, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist, okay? I don't know about the unfairness, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means you don't know about it. And I want to tell you right now that if you have implemented a pickup twice in other parts of the city and a pickup once in North St. Louis, you better be prepared to take on a person who's taken on 5 other mayors and a whole bunch of other people. And I'm still standing. Went through a racist gerrymandering redistricting. I want you to know all you're going to be doing with your life is fighting me, because you are not going to pick up once in North St. Louis dumpsters and twice in the rest of the city. And I don't care what kind of things you come up with. Here's the thing. I pay $14 a month. When I left, when I was racially gerrymandered, we didn't pay anything. But while I was gone, we went to $11 in 12, the city, I think it was. And then when I came back in 2017, when Lyda Cruzan became the mayor, we went to $14. I made a substantial speech on the floor board of aldermen about how I don't want us to pay extra money because North St. Louis was not getting their trash picked up in the first place, and that these alleys are filthy and horrible, not because we're filthy, horrible people, but because the city has been doing something that's just awful. They drive through, they pick up, they had a system where they encouraged people to finish early and then you could leave early. So that made people go through certain alleys that they could get away with it. They don't do my alley. And when I tell you this, they don't do Maffitt Place alley because they know we do not stand for it. Even when I was off the board of aldermen, the trash people would say, oh, you better go through Alderwoman Tyus's alley because they don't stand for it. But a lot of people don't know how to fight back for themselves. They don't know how to access city services. They get so used to being treated wrongly and unfairly that they try to grit their teeth and grin and bear it. That's what I'm here for, because I do know how to fight back. And I know how to raise a whole bunch of hell. And actually, I had already scheduled until all this stuff happened at the Board of Aldermen to take the news media through all of North St. Louis alleys to show how ignorant somebody would be to say some stuff about it ain't about race and it's just about tonnage. Because the easiest way not to have the equal amount of tonnage picked up, if you just don't pick up certain alleys, you don't pick them up, or you pick them up every other dumpster, every other 5 dumpsters. And that will get you a low amount of tonnage. But you drive through the alleys, the dumpsters are overflowing. This morning when I got up, 7 or 8 emails in my Penrose neighborhood, another 5 or 6 in my Mark Twain neighborhood, trash not picked up. I'm just irritated beyond all. I'm so irritated, I almost don't know how to conduct this meeting, because you have a job. I want you to know, Ms. Williams, because I raised hell with the mayor's office about there not being any Black people ever in the 30 years that I've been associated that's been in charge of anything over there. They had one female, Deanna Vinegar. I said this to Jamie and the group that showed up before you got here. And I said to them on Zoom, I have a problem when I see all white males show up in 2021. I have a problem with that. So I have made people hire Black people on the spot, because when I start asking them, do they believe in inclusion? When I was on streets for people that's come before us, the Black guy came back and said, Alderwoman, they hired me. I've been trying to get this job forever. And they hired me because they said this Black woman is raising hell. I do. I raise hell because Black people be included. But I didn't raise them raise hell for people to come and then do the same thing that white people were doing. Because I don't need no black people doing the same thing white people are doing or trying to justify anything. Unless you drive through my alleys and they are pitch clean, like my alley. If you drive through Manfred Place, that alley's clean. If the rest of the alleys in North St. Louis are not clean and all the trash is picked up, don't you go about telling people what it ain't. You go about telling people why you haven't been able to do your job to get it done the right way. I'll take care of the politics. You take care of picking up the trash, and you're not doing it. And I don't have to be the only one to say it. Alderwoman Boyd will tell you, all the black aldermen will tell you, I just talked to Alderman Todd, will tell you how horrible our alleys look. And it's not just happening under you. It's been happening. And it's been happening because they don't have a system that is correct. And as I said, I know how you make them do it. If you got people that will complain, I live in a black middle class community, and my people will complain. So they tend to get their alleys, but there are other parts of my community that are poor that don't know how to. And they don't get to tend to get their alleys clean. Now, if I call Randy, he'll go out there and do his damnedest to get it done. That's why nobody could ever say anything bad to me about Randy Breitenfeld, because then they will have a fight. Okay, but you coming in here new, if you think you're going to change the system any kind of way except for the pick up twice, then I'm going to the state. There's a guy named Attorney General, and I'm going to report you and the mayor and say you're, and the director of operations, and talk about you violating the Hancock Amendment. You cannot raise rates and say it's not a tax unless you're providing a service. And you cannot provide a service that is different in one part of town than the other and try to make it okay. It is not okay. I want you to understand that. And if you thought you were being smart to get out in front of me and try to explain, you can't do that because you haven't been around long enough to get out in front of me. What I tell young black kids, young folks, when you come around, come and ask people like me so we can show you. Don't make me have to fight you, because I will. If you mess with my community, you will have a fight that you will not believe. And when you don't pick up trash in my community, that's a fight. And let me tell you, if you don't pick up trash in white people's community, you will also have a fight with me, because your job is to make sure as the director of streets that we get the services that we need in all parts of the city. And if you got some crazy people working there, which Todd Walterman has no business being there, this whole thing of putting him there, I'm putting it out in the air, is because they said, oh, we got this law that says that if you worked in the mayor's office and you get put out of, which he was, that you go back to your job. The fact of it is, Todd Walterman was not the refuse commissioner. Nick Young was. Jamie Wilson knows this. Nick Young was. So there's no reason for Todd Walterman to be there, Jamie and Richard Franks, is that something went on that had no business being going on. And I'm looking into it and I'm going to undo it. I've been trying to give you all a hint. This is a man that held me hostage in my own office with Christina Ingracia, and everybody saw it. And Mayor Francis Slay and Lyda Cruson covered up for it. Only Louis Reed did anything about it. We had to change our whole security because of Todd Walterman. He should have been fired then. That is a violation of city rules, that you hold aldermen hostage in their offices and won't let them go. Those are violations of city civil service rules. He should have been fired. I've heard him call white people horrible names in the paper. If you pull, I've watched the horrible things that he's done. He's a horrible person, has no business working for our city. And he surely is not doing a good job as the refuse commissioner. And I'm on record. And Todd, come try to hold me up. Come trying to hold me in my office again and see what happens to you. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I want my trash picked up in a responsible manner. And I want it picked up all over the city in a responsible manner. And I'll do everything I can to help you do that. We met with yesterday in public safety. We got to talk to the acting personnel director. We talked about paying people more money, paying for the commercial driver's license, giving them bonuses, but making them responsible that if they leave early, that we would get paid back. But we cannot have a city that is not picking up trash. And we cannot have a city that feels it's okay as long as it's in another part of the town. When I raised in 2017, when we raised the trash fee, I sat on the floor of the board. I stood on the floor of Board of Aldermen and I gave a testimony for about 20, 30 minutes. And nobody wrote anything about it. But I also, a few weeks later, found out illegally that the refuse department, which is racist, was taking and letting the senior refuse truck drivers pick their own routes, which they were picking other parts of North St. Louis, and then putting the new trucks that we had bought down with, take them with them, so that all or most of the new trucks were going to other parts of the city besides North St. Louis. I got with the then personnel director, Richard Frank, and we took it out of a memorandum of understanding because it was racist, and he agreed it was racist, and I knew it was racist. And it was a racist impact if it was not intent. I don't even care what your intentions are. I care about the impact. And so after that, they had to start putting the new trucks and some of the more seasoned drivers in North St. Louis. All of a sudden, then South St. Louis was getting bad trash pickup. There was a reporter with the Post-Dispatch, her name was Celeste. She called me up. She said, you know, you did a long speech about the bad trash pickup service in the city of St. Louis and North St. Louis. I said, yeah, I did. She said, now I live in Tower Grove, and now we're getting bad service in Tower Grove. I said, okay. She said, so now I want to do a story about the bad trash pickup service in the city. I said, no. She said, why not? I said, because you didn't give a damn about long as it was North St. Louis. So now you want me to be concerned because it's Tower Grove. So I did not give her a interview. However, if you go back in 2017, there's a big interview with me and other people because she just went back and got everything I said off of the YouTube. And she did a story without really interviewing me because I wouldn't give her an interview. And she talked to Brandon Bosley and some other, Alderman Bosley and some other people. And everybody talked about the trash service. And they made it like that they did an interview with me, but I didn't. Because if you don't care about my community, don't call me when it's your community. I want you to know I do care about your community. I actually used to live in Tower Grove. I lived in the 8th. I do care about it. I lived there for eight years. I lived in the Central Quarter. I care about all parts of the city. My biggest thing is equal for everybody, not just some. And it's not okay for some to get good service and the rest don't. I hate it when I hear people saying, I didn't expect that to happen in my neighborhood, as though you expected it to happen in mine. I can't stand that statement. So I've been hearing lately a lot from South St. Louis about their poor trash service. And so I think that if the things that you're trying to do, you're trying to address things that are happening in other parts of the city at the expense of ours, that is not going to happen. I want you to know that. I want you to know this before, as we start out. This is going to be not a real long meeting because you're getting a subpoena, as in most of the people in the refuse department are getting a subpoena because a lot of workers have things they want to tell me and I'm going to protect them. So everybody get a subpoena so you won't be able to come back and come at them as they tell me the truth about what has been happening over in that refuse department. Jamie's going to get a subpoena. Randy's not going to get a subpoena. Maybe he will, only to protect him. I don't know how I subpoenaed Todd Walterman because I can't stand him to be before me. I don't like him to be even near me since he held me hostage. I'm still irritated about that all these years later because he scared me. So I was looking for a weapon in my office to protect myself from this crazy man. But we are going to get at the gist of, we're not going to do this. One side gets one thing and another gets another. And I would suggest you go and talk to City Councilor Shana Hamilton about what the Hancock Amendment says and why you can't do that. I gave you a break when you guys were not doing recycling, because really you were violating the law then too. But I gave you a break because everybody was being so hard on you guys. But I also know that under the Cruisen administration, they had stopped doing recycling a long time ago because recycling was very different than when we started it and we weren't getting the same money. And so I wanted to give you all some room to try to straighten things out. I got a lot of requests in about doing inspections, doing an investigation. I just gave you room, but I cannot give you room about the trash pickup that's going on in North St. Louis now. Just want you to know that. And like I said, if you talk to all the black aldermen, I can't speak to the white aldermen, but if you talk to the black aldermen to a person, they will tell you how horrible their trash service is, and how they got overflowing dumpsters and things like that. And I don't care if we got to work people long days, 10 and 12-hour days. I don't care. I'll get out and drive a trash truck. I will learn how to drive one before I will look at what's happening in the city of St. Louis now. This cannot go on. And it certainly can't go on by balancing it by thinking you're going to do what I've read that you were doing. I want to know how very disappointed I am. So we are going to start here by talking to you, Ms. Williams. It's not even going to be a sworn in at this time. What I want to find out from you is, and Randy can help you because he's been doing this a lot longer, is I want to find out all the documentation about how you pick up trash, what routes, all of that. I want everything about it because I want to subpoena it all for you to come back. When you come back before us, I want to subpoena it. I want to make sure that I have everything that I need, that I can go over it, that this committee can go over it. So we can, I don't care about, again, about you saying, well, we pick up more trash in this end of city than the other. If you are going to pick up once in North St. Louis, then you're going to have to give us part of our money back. And I'm going to start a taxpayers lawsuit against you. And I'm going to go to the state and sue you and the mayor. And you all will hear me burn your behinds up every week. I got a bully pulpit. You will hear this. That ain't going to happen. Hear it again. You're not going to pick up once in North St. Louis and leave these alleys filthy. They're filthy, which you're allegedly picking up twice. Director Williams, if you could explain to me how many routes we have in the city of St. Louis, how many trash routes we have in the city of St. Louis, how they are broken up. Are they broken up by regions or what? How they are divided, rather. I have never understood, I know we have trash truck drivers, but I've never understood how we have these supervisors that are supposed to drive through the alleys, and then there's still trash there. If a supervisor is supposed to drive through the alleys and they see these big, large piles of trash, either because people have illegally dumped, or sometimes the dumpsters are broken, or they have holes in them, or they turned over, how do they stay there weeks and weeks on end? And if they turn them in, why we don't come and pick them up? So I want you to explain to me so that I can understand, because all these 31 years, somehow I don't understand unfair trash pickup. So I'm going to need you to explain it to me, every bit of it, and what it takes and what kind of documentation you have. So, and Randy needs to help you do that. That'll be fine. But I want to hear your testimony and Randy's testimony of what is going on with trash, that I am literally at my wit's end about it. And Director Williams, you can start.
Okay, so I want to start with, you asked 3 questions: the number of routes we have, how they're divided up, and you talked about supervisors that are monitoring the routes. If I've missed something, please let me know.
That's it.
Okay, so the number of routes we have, currently we have roughly 105 routes that are broken up by days of the week. The current system, it's like 45 routes on Mondays and Tuesdays, and then they repeat them on Thursdays and Fridays.
I'm sorry, slow down here. Broken up by days of the weeks, and it's Monday and what?
So currently you have trash pickup that is on Monday and Friday, or no, excuse me, Monday and Wednesday and Tuesday and Friday.
Right.
And then you have,
and that's for dumpsters, right?
That's for both. Randy, I feel like that's for both, right?
Yeah, so our alley dumpsters are picked up either Monday and Thursday or Tuesday and Friday. And then our roll carts are picked up on a Monday and Tuesday for trash, Thursday and Friday for recycling, and Wednesday for yard waste.
But let me ask you, stop. So I thought roll carts only get picked up once for trash. So you're saying either Monday or Tuesday? Or they pick-
Well, yeah, we're in one part of the city on Monday and on another part of the city on Tuesday. So they get one trash, one yard, and one recycle.
Okay, and you and I have a special little thing going on where I bought some extra ones, which I think is working out really well. So I worked with Randy, because we only had blue carts, and what was the other, green carts or?
Correct.
Right, and so I bought from my ward capital, brown carts, because what I found out of people who had carts is that they hated having to, if something happened and it was missed today, that they would have to dump their whatever trash out or their yard waste out so that they could have pickup. So out of my funds, I bought some extra carts, brown or green, whichever one. And so now we actually have 3 in those places, right?
Correct.
So that makes it easier that they don't have to dump things out, right? They can just use one for yard waste, one for trash, and one for recycling. Is that right?
That's right. And that's why it was key to have 3 different colors. So if they set out, if they try to set out too many carts on one day, we know that, we
Right.
just, yeah.
Well, I hear from those people, they're very happy. In fact, the people that I haven't done, I'm going to send you some more money because they want it also. So they're happy with that. And picking up rollout carts once a week. And the justification for that is because instead of having 3 or 4 households use a cart, only one household use a cart, right? Is that it?
Yeah, we have a scenario, but every single family residence should have their own cart, correct?
Okay, single family. So if it's a double family, then they may share a cart.
Yes, we have a scenario that we go by. I think it's like a 4 family is 2 carts, duplex gets 2 carts, and then it just goes up the line. 6 family gets 3 carts.
Okay,
Otherwise, we would have so many carts out there.
I understand. Okay, so 4 family gets 2, 6 family might get 3.
Yep.
Is there a point where you say you can't have a cart, you have to have a dumpster?
Pretty much any place that has an alley, we try to service them with alley dumpsters.
Okay, so it used to be that when I first started, and Vince Shaman put these carts, the dumpsters and stuff in I want to say the alley around 85, 86 or something like that, okay? That's when I moved in my house. I've been in my house since 86, and I think they got put out either right when we moved or right before. It used to be that we didn't let businesses use the carts. Is now that we let businesses can also, didn't let businesses use the dumpsters. Are we also now allowing the businesses, if they pay the fees to do the dumpsters? Did we get sued about that or something like that? And we have to let them do it? Can you?
No, there's no business. It's only residential. There should be
Okay.
no businesses using our dumpsters.
Okay. Any other things like churches or anybody else that are supposed to be using our dumpsters?
No, it's just residential only.
Okay.
So if I see any businesses trying to use our dumpster, we'll go out there, we'll give them a violation notice, and we'll give them a certain amount of time to get their own dumpster. If they fail to do that, then I'll get the environmental investigation unit involved.
Okay. And we have different size dumpsters. Is that right?
Correct.
And what size dumpsters do we have?
The majority of them are 400 gallon, but we
Okay.
also have 300 gallon and we have 500 gallon.
And when we first put these dumpsters out, we had a formula of how we put them out, like so many dumpsters per household. Can you tell me what that formula is?
Yes, it's pretty much one dumpster serves 4 households.
And when you say households, so if you had a 4-family flat, would they get 1 dumpster?
They would get 1 dumpster, yes.
But if they're single family, then 1 dumpster would serve 4 single family houses.
Correct.
Okay. And is that the same? That was for trash. Is that the same thing for yard waste and for
Recycle.
recycling? Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty much, I mean, if I had to put a ratio to it, it'd probably be about one recycler yard per every 4 or 3 solid waste dumpsters. So we just kind of strategically place them throughout the alley so nobody really has to walk too far to any yard waste or recycle dumpster.
So you said one recycle for every 3 or 4.
I mean, that's pretty much that's our scenario we go by, but there's some
Is it for-
areas.
But is it for trash dumpsters? One recycling for every 3 or 4 trash dumpsters? Is that what it-
Roughly, yeah, approximately.
roughly? Okay. Now what about yard waste? Is that the same thing?
Yes.
And I think that, and I remember we used to pick up yard waste only during a certain season. Is that still the same thing? Do we like stop picking up yard waste like around December or something like that?
Yeah, it's pretty much just a couple months. It's roughly December, January, and February is when we discontinue yard waste pickup.
Okay.
But that's all seasonal nowadays, since it seems like the winter times are warmer now.
Right.
It's pretty much we pretty much make that call every year. If it's going to be 60, 70 degrees all December, we're not going to stop yard waste pickup.
Okay. All right. So let's go back. So we used to have on the dumpsters these stickers that said what days we picked up in your alley, and they stayed with that. Then we went through a hard time where we said, well, we're going to pick them up twice a week, but we don't know when we could pick them up because we're having to float people around because we're having a hard time with people working in refuse and driving the trucks. And so that kind of was hard because if people know you're going to pick up on Monday and Thursday, if you don't pick up on Thursday, they can call you. If you don't pick up on Monday, but if you don't pick up on Monday and they're saying we're going to get to it, that to me made it hard for constituents to phone in and say, hey, you missed my dumpsters. Okay. Are we still in that kind of a cycle right now where we can't tell you exactly when we're going to pick up trash?
Well, as far as the stickers go, pretty much the only stickers we had on there were to inform residents when their bulk collection was. So we put a sticker on there that would say, for instance, your bulk pickup is the week of the 4th Monday. And then we would list all the dates on that sticker of when we were going to be in that alley.
So we didn't have the days of when we picked up trash?
No, I don't think we never had any stickers as far as trash goes. It was just the bulky sticker that we put on there.
I'll say, so maybe it was online under the assessor's database then. Okay, so if you go to the assessor's database, it will say your trash days, who you are, who you represented. So it was someplace, okay. Okay, so the stickers were for bulk, but in the assessor's database, it would tell you your trash days if you got a dumpster and what they were. So are we on a sliding scale? I beg your pardon?
It's on the city website, the dates of your service pickup dates.
Right, but it's also on the I use the assessor's database all the time because it has everything, but I hear you. But what I guess my question is, are we on a sliding scale now of we can't tell you we're going to pick up Monday and Thursday or Tuesday and Friday? Is that what we're doing now?
And that's only because of the number of employees we have. Every day we're sending out. So like I said, if we have 45 routes that we're trying to pick up a day, and we are only sending out possibly 35 trucks and drivers out because of either equipment has failed or we just don't have the people to send out 45 drivers a day. So in that case, you're seeing a setback of 10 to 15 routes already that we're going into Tuesday. And so what we try to do is pick up what we could not collect on Monday. We try to pick that up on Tuesday, or it goes to that Wednesday that the next time that trash service is done, or that Thursday the next time that trash service is done. But so we are having issues with our fleet. our fleet maintenance, as well as the number of employees that we have here. I think if we had full capacity, what we had prior to COVID, we wouldn't even be having these conversations. It would just be, how do we maintain the twice a week pickup that came from, that the city has been doing. You know, if you look on the city website and some other documents, I have been looking to see where is it documented where we pick up twice a week pickup. I've asked the city councilor's office, I've asked you know, the refuse department, where is this documented? I've asked the mayor's office, different places, where is this documented? And on the website, it says that the commitment of the city of St. Louis is once a week pickup. And so how do you balance that with the number of people that you have to get the service done?
Let me stop you where it's documented. Do you believe in policies and procedures and past practices?
Yes, I do.
Here's the documentation right here. 31 years.
Okay,
Is that good enough for you right there?
so you can share.
I'm an officer of the court also. I have no reason to lie. And all the people who live in my neighborhoods, they've been in their houses for 30 and 30 something years. That's been our policy since they put them out there, okay? But since you said that, don't worry about it, because I am rewriting, taking away from you the ability, or you or any other director, to do what you're talking about doing. And we're putting that's what legislators do, write laws, okay? And what happens is when you discontinue things, when Francis Slay was the mayor, we used to clean the streets before he became the mayor twice a week. And while I was off, he stopped cleaning them twice a week, and the streets are filthy and dirty under Vince Shame. I'm at my 6th mayor, so I'm a walking history buff about this stuff pretty much. I won't always remember exactly, but I can tell you, we picked up trash, and Randy can tell you, we picked them up twice a week, okay? And we cleaned streets twice a week until Vince changed it. And it makes a big difference of how filthy our streets are now. I mean, Vince didn't change it, I'm sorry, Francis Slay changed it. It makes a big difference in our streets. And I have been pushing that at least we go back to the major streets that we clean at least twice a week, because it's just horrible. And I kind of got quiet because I did know that we don't have enough trash truck drivers. And so you kind of want to leave that alone about cleaning streets, but not really, because our city does not do well. And we don't attract people, and we don't keep people when they're looking at trash in their alleys, trash on their streets. That doesn't make people proud. We got people who go out. I got people in their 80s and 90s and 70s that go out and pick up trash all the time because they're very proud of where they live. And all over the city, we have people like that. But every place, people are not like that. And so when you say about where is the procedure, where is the written documentation, I can't tell you written documentation, but I can tell you in the 35 years that I've lived in my house, 36 now, they've been picking up my trash twice a week, pick up my yard waste. And we didn't have recycling at first. That came, do you remember when recycling came, Randy?
2010.
Okay, right. So that's where people got it. And so it's a policy and procedure that's been in effect all this time. But if you need it in writing, it will be.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. But I can also tell you to go to the YouTube. Jeffrey Boyd and Stephen Conway sponsored the bill that took our trash cost up from 11 to 14. And during that whole time we talked about it on the floor and had discussion, they talked about that we would have trash regularly. They also talked about buying more dumpsters so that we would have adequate amount of dumpsters, because they had been trying to get the aldermen to pay for dumpsters, which I never did but once, because it was not an automatic duty for our dumpsters to come out of yard waste. Okay, I saw you, Alderwoman. Thank you, I appreciate it. It wasn't our duties to pay for it out of our ward capital money. It was always the city's duty, but people would always push us to buy dumpsters. And a lot of aldermen would, just because they just wanted to have enough dumpsters in their alleys. When Freeman became mayor, he actually gave each of us 300 or 400 dumpsters, and I got the sheet still. And then after that, they always begged for money from the aldermen. to replace dumpsters. But in 2017, they stood on that floor and said, with this $3 extra, we will buy dumpsters, we will buy new trucks and equipment. Now, I know things have gone up substantially since then, so I understand that. And I supported the part of the ARPA money. I supported forestry getting more equipment, refuse getting more equipment. I support that, okay? We have to have it. We cannot act like we're just, that we don't need it and that prices didn't go up. But what I do not support is picking up less times a week. That does not do anything for anybody. Alderwoman Schweitzer has to leave. So I want her to be able to ask questions. I'm gonna be here for a while, okay? So Alderwoman Schweitzer, if you have questions or statements, I will yield to you so that you can leave, okay?
Thank you so much, Chairwoman Tyus. I appreciate that. Thank you also to Ms. Williams, Mr. Breitenfeld, and Mr. Wilson for coming and speaking with us today. I have had great interactions with all of you, and you've always, I think, to the best of your ability, tried to answer my questions and whatever was needed in the 13th ward. So I really appreciate that, you coming and talking. Regarding pickup, it seems to me that the kind of constant refrain is just not enough drivers and occasionally faulty equipment. I know the $3,000 bonus has been there for drivers. Is there anything else that you all have asked for that hasn't happened? I mean, was it discussed that there'd be an even bigger raise for trash truck drivers and trash workers? I know I've heard, people who are, I guess, I know there's so many different qualifications for people who work in the department and they have different names of status and all of that. But, with the refuse department and people who go out into the alleys and pick up trash kind of after the drivers do, it seems like there's a lot of different areas in which we really need more resources for refuse. So I'd love to hear your opinion on anything that we may be overlooking in terms of staff pay or retention incentives or anything that you maybe have asked for and it hasn't happened. I just appreciate any of that kind of intel.
So thank you for that question. So we have been looking into how can we increase pay across the board with the boots on the grounds, employees of the streets department, mainly refuse. I was told that with the study that's coming out from personnel, I had to wait until I saw that. I even looked at it from the standpoint of what I have left in the FY22 budget. Was it possible that those funds could be put back into the employees, put back into the staff? And, that's part of the general revenue. It looked at the FY23 budget. So we're continuously trying. We just put new signage out looking for employees if they want to come and work for refuse or really any of our departments with the streets department. We're trying to help them fill out the applications, working with personnel to speed up the process. Some of these jobs we're getting lists and the employees, the candidates are so like they were interested in this job last year, 3 months ago, 6 months ago. They found other employment by now when we called them. And so we're just trying to figure out how do we engage that pipeline of employees and bring them in. If I could just poof overnight and find some people, they would all be here working. This department, one thing they will do is train you. And so if I can just get them in here, then we will train them to do the work. And so that's where, it's been an uphill battle. We'll get a couple people in and then they just realize this work is not for me. We did look at CDL drivers and how do we give them more money having a CDL drive, holding a CDL, that's something we need and we want you to stay here. But, that just went nowhere. We didn't have the funding in the city to look at those types of things. But I am trying and open to other ways that we can do some type of incentive. The 3,000 works, but I think we had maybe 15 people that came in under the $3,000 incentive. And I currently have 2 that will get their 3,000. really and truly, I would have wanted all 15 of them. But for some reason or other, if they didn't work out, some of them came one day and never returned again, so it's different things like that I'm just trying to figure out, how do we do that and keep employees here once they get here. But if it's any ideas of how we can increase our employment numbers, where I can go, who I can talk to, we're doing all types of job fairs, participating in all job fairs. People are not coming, or if they come, we're having some lack in personnel turning over applications to us. So we're just trying to work any angle we can to get people in the door.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I feel that there will be a lot of improvements made across all of city departments if we could fill the spots.
Right.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And it seems dire across so many industries right now.
Right.
And we're trying to compete with a lot of different entities, even within our own city. I mean, it seems like people, if they can make more money doing something in streets, they might leave forestry. If they can make more money in forestry, they might leave streets. And we're competing with ourselves as well. So that seems like something that we might actually have control over from the city.
Right. And I feel like not to cut you off, sorry, but I think that the job study, well, I'm hoping, I have not seen it, but I'm hoping that the job study will identify each job title and compare it to other cities of our size, or the work that we do, or compare it to other departments, so that we can figure out how can we make this a lateral situation where we're not stealing employees. I call it stealing employees from different divisions or departments, because we're all kind of suffering here, as well as make sure that.
Let me stop you for a minute. You keep talking about a study that's coming out. What about the compensation study that's already out? You're not using that one?
So the compensation study from personnel, as a director, I haven't been given that. So
I'll give it to you, because when I
Okay.
was the chair of public employees, I made, that's why they have it out. That's why the firefighters, I made Richard Franks do one. So I'll give it to you. So we have one now. And we also have money now, I want to say. I don't think there's any alderman that wouldn't say, let's use some of the RAM money, some of the whatever money. We are all, as long as you pick up our trash, okay? That's what I'm saying. We'll be like, okay, let's make it rain right now. That's where we're at, okay? So we just need to know this is what I said yesterday at Public Safety. We need to know what you need, okay? And I actually called Forestry, and he gave me a list of what he needed for equipment and things like that. He pretty much got that. There's no sense in having money if we don't get the equipment we need and we don't pay people. When I was the chair of public employees, we found out that the water department people were making such a small amount of money that they got $10,000 and $15,000 raises. Okay, but they came to my public employees hearing. They came, they were organized. They came and proved to us how much, if you worked at American Water, how much you would get. And so, so they ended. I worked with Director Franks, and we got them raises. So it's not just, I know you talk to the mayor's office, but also this is what our committee is for. Talk to the committee members, talk to me. I will fight with everything I have. I think people ought to be paid what they're worth, okay? And if you're losing people, one thing I want to say, you said you had 15 and you lost all but 2. So that might be money, but that also has to be, there's something in that environment. That's the other thing we talked about, an unhappy environment. So that is not all money.
I totally agree with you.
Okay, because I've heard from a lot of people that have been working there for years and years and years, and it wasn't about the money. It's about the environment that's going on there. And it's toxic. So I'm sorry, does she have to leave? She probably have to leave. It's 10:58. We will get you the money. We will vote for it. What we do not want to happen is for us not to have trash pickup. And I don't want, so if you only can pick up once a week, then everybody only gets once a week. You don't get to say, well, over here, we got more. That's not going to happen, okay? And that's going to get you a lawsuit. And that's what I'm trying to explain to you. So if you're doing sliding scales and twice over here this week, And then twice over that, that's gonna build up a lot of trash. Right now, I just went through the alleys. It's awful. Alderwoman Boyd, are you on this call?
Yes, ma'am.
Am I saying your experience?
I mean, you're perfectly correct. And I did send the director pictures all weekend of the struggles we have within the ward, and you're correct. So you're on point. You're not far from any of what you're saying. And I just think that, and I'm gonna ask director, just like I asked yesterday, the personnel, are you all having group sessions to hear the employees? Because I'm just tired of people at the top speaking for our employees.
So we have, hello?
Go ahead, she can hear you.
Oh, okay. I hear an echo. That's why I paused. But so I have an open door policy here at the streets department. Any employee can come to my office at any given time and speak to me about an issue that they're having. If I don't know about the issue, I can't address the issue or look into the issue. I have at this point said that, yes, we have to start having staff meetings. I feel like years ago, I don't know how long, they tell me that we used to have staff meetings where people can talk and people could share different ideas. But the current culture that prior to my starting on October the 4th, was that, you don't talk, or you talk to this person and get permission to talk here and do some of those different things. And that's the culture that we are trying to change here at the streets department as a whole. It's not just this issues we're seeing in refuse are not just there. This is across the board in this department. And I'm trying to figure out, how do I get this? I want no one to believe that only people I listen to are my commissioners. And they know that. Jamie will tell you, Randy will tell you, at any given time, an employee can come in here and share their experiences, what they're going through. But if they don't come, I don't know. And so it's going to take time. And that's my only thing. I just ask that everyone gives us time to figure out how can we make some of these changes. This is culture that has been ingrained in the streets department for years. And it is important to me that we look at how do we change this. Not only that, we have some dedicated workers here. They are dedicated. They want to get out and do the service of the city of St. Louis and provide the work that's here. And so I just want to make sure that they're treated fairly. I am looking at salaries. I pulled the list. I had a list pulled of everyone's salary and how long they've been here. And just looking at how employees were skipped over or how things were moved around. Those are all things that I'm looking into, but it takes time to do that. And so I understand, salary is a problem. We're losing employees. When I hear employees is leaving, I try to pull them in and I'm like, is it something I could do? Can I put you in a different work unit? What is it? Because you have time, energy, and talent that we need in the streets of St. Louis. That's just the bottom line. It takes time, and I hear all the concerns that are coming up. And really right now, it's just the people. When I first came in here, it was like, okay, how do we look at some of these procedural or material stuff and the engineering side of the streets department? But I quickly realized that personnel became the number one priority, and the people in the streets department became the number one priority my second Monday here. So that is what I've been focused on, trying to figure out how do we make adjustments in the people and honor the commitment to the city of St. Louis. And so, yes, trash is behind. Yes, some of our other potholes are everywhere. We are working. We're down to one crew in some places. We're doing different initiatives where we take all of the teams and they do one duty, one task force for a whole week, just to try to catch up in some of the things that we're backlogged, as well as holding the leadership accountable for the decisions that they're making. So it may sound like words, but I can guarantee you with time, you will see changes in the streets department.
Dr. Director Williams, until I heard there was going to be a difference in pickup, I gave you all wide leeway. Okay. If you saw how many emails that's like, Sharon Tyus, why are you being so quiet? I'm not known in this city as a quiet person. I've given you all a lot of leeway. I will say about the toxic culture, because I was irritated for you. And I want to, Jamie's here, I'm glad he is. They hired somebody to lobby the Board of Aldermen right before you came, even though they knew you were on your way. I think that's an insult to you. I'm really disappointed in you, Jamie, and whoever else did it, okay? Because you should have waited for her to get here and hire her own person. So that irritated me, okay? Because again, when all white men have been in charge of something for so long, they don't see it's all white men. They just think, oh, this is great, okay? And so they don't understand racism and sexism a lot of time. I felt sorry for Deanna Vinegar when she was here, and she got beated out of here and went to the county. So it's just not racism, it's sexism. And so for them to hire your person to lobby the board, he can't never lobby me for nothing. And that's what I'm gonna tell you. Whatever he wants, if he comes to me, it's a no, because you didn't let her hire her own person. And I found that insulting for her, okay? And I've said that to Nancy and other people. How does that happen? She was within a few weeks of being there, and there was no rush except for you put your own person and you thought that was all right. And that was not all right. Let's go back to how the 105 routes are divided. So how are they divided?
So currently, what you're seeing now across the city of St. Louis is we have hired a GIS specialist that collects the data on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis. And so my overall goal was, one, the mayor said she wanted recycling restarted, and two, how do we pick up the trash in the city of St. Louis? That with the number of people that we have. If it's a day that we never get back to full capacity, what do we do? So the only way that you can figure out with the number of people we have and the work that we have to do, you have to figure out how can you make some changes. It would not have been right if I would have just said, or we would have said, okay, everybody north of this, you get once a week pickup, and everybody south of this, you get twice a week, or vice versa. That would not have been fair at all. So we tried to look at it from a point of tons of trash in the alleys. And we do know that you have holidays. We know that you have people that are moving out of condos, or students moving in and out. People are moving. We know all of those things. And so we took all of that into consideration. And I want to make perfectly clear that what we're doing, this is only a trial to see how can we work this out.
Let me stop you again. Your trial is illegal under the Hancock Amendment. So stop it. I don't care what the mayor says, and I'll tell Tashara Jones, I don't care what she says. If it's got to be recycling, I know a lot of people made noise about recycling, but trash is more important than recycling. And me and the mayor will have this conversation when I get off the phone, okay? I helped her get elected. She didn't help me get elected. I've been elected for a long time, and she doesn't understand. She's never been an alder person. She never sat in the seat that I've sat in. If it's got to be one thing you don't pick up, recycling is it, not trash. And I'm a recycler. So before we had these big blue bins, we had the little bitty bins that were blue. I paid the $30 or whatever, $45, because I am that person. Even when I knew you weren't recycling, I rinse my stuff out and still put it in there. My husband says, well, you know, they're not doing it. I still do it because I want us to have another earth. I don't want to leave this earth and the next generation doesn't have it. But in the meantime, the mayor is listening to political pressure. The pressure is to pick up the trash, because I want to tell you, she will be another one-term Black mayor. I've been through 6 mayors. She's the 6th. 2 of them have been one-term Black mayors. If she continues with this trash thing that she doesn't understand, but I do, then she will not be but 1 term. She can talk about all the stuff's going on at the Board of Aldermen and how there's going to be more, because it ain't going to be Sharon Tyus, because I write my own check. So I don't raise money. But I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell her and Nancy and Jared and anybody else, if it comes to recycling or trash, Recycling doesn't cause animals to be in the alleys and all the stuff that goes along with it. Trash is more important. Just like I know, and you and I had this conversation, when I first sponsored the speed hump bill, Nancy Cross.
Hey, what you saying?
Somebody needs to, hey, hello? Okay. When I first sponsored the speed hump bill, Nancy Cross and some of these aldermen who think they know everything was like, oh, the mayor should veto it because we don't have a citywide study. And then I talked to you because a citywide study doesn't have anything to do with the little speed humps we have on little residential streets. The citywide study is the traffic pattern that happens when you close streets and everything else. So now one of the things I hear the mayor's office bragging about is how the speed humps have helped because they didn't know what they were talking about. So I'm saying the mayor, Nancy Cross, who is the director of operations, and anybody else who tells you that recycling is more important than picking up the trash is wrong, okay? And I'm not saying it behind her back. I'll say it to her face and I'll put it in writing, and anything else, that's just wrong, because that makes for a lot of other problems. Recycling, we didn't always have. And if we have to go back there, I know all the people in South St. Louis, I got all those emails, oh, but you were picking the trash up. And so I was quiet because that is a priority. Pick everybody's trash up first, pick up the yard waste. Recycling runs third. We don't get the same money that we used to get. When we first started recycling, we made a lot more money off of it, okay? And so people don't understand this. And like I said before, I didn't open my mouth. I don't care who pressured me against you guys, because I knew you were making the right thing, right decision. But the decision to do recycling before trash is a poor one. And if it came from the mayor, it's still a poor one. And she doesn't understand because she's never been an alderperson. And I've been one for 20 something years, okay? So I will be having this conversation with her. So you can say, you can take Alderwoman Tice, did you hear her? She knows me and she knows I'm serious about this, okay? Pick up the trash first.
So I will say at no given time did we or the mayor's office or anyone else say, stop picking up trash to start recycling. That was never the case or the conversation.
Wait a minute, you said you were doing the GIS special collection data because the mayor wanted recycling. That's the first thing you said.
So the mayor gave us a challenge to restart recycling. In the process of that, we had to figure out how do we balance all of this work that we have with the number of people that we have.
Okay.
And even before recycling came into the picture, how do we collect all of the trash?
But when you add recycling, what my point to you is, I understand if you're adding recycling and you weren't doing it, that takes away from something else. And that's taken away from picking up trash, okay?
Right.
Then so it is a concern, and it's one that I'm having with you, and I'm gonna go over and have it right with her and say, are you out of your mind? Do you want to be a one term? This is not going to be a nice conversation. This is going to be, you ask anybody, do you rather have your trash picked up or recycling? 99.9 are going to say trash. And so, if you're then trying to pick up recycling to address what the mayor says, she's capitulating to political pressure. That is not a good idea, okay? And what I'm telling you is that it's a health concern. And you go into these alleys in North St. Louis, and we will not continue to let people say, oh, that's what the Black people over there want. And the reason why it's race is because Black people live in North St. Louis. I'm one of the few people that have lived all over the city. I'm not even from here. But when I moved here, I lived in the Central Quarter, right around the corner from the former mayor. I lived in the 1500 block of Waterman in Central West End. I lived 8 years in the 8th Ward in Tower Grove, okay? And then I've been in North St. Louis since '86. I'm not from here. I'm a big advocate of North St. Louis, but I'm not from here. So, but in every place I live, the people wanted the same thing. Nobody's gonna say, if you say we don't have enough people, they can whine all they want to, but I gotta pick up the trash first for everybody. Then I can get to yard waste, and then I can get to recycling, and then that's something they're gonna have to hear. But if you say, we're gonna try to balance this because we're gonna start recycling, but you don't have enough drivers, then you are taken away from something that we need, and that is trash pickup. And I cannot today, so now I'm sending out to, this morning I got a letter that says, I have tried to help you as much as I can. I send them the charter that says that the mayor is responsible for all city services, and that, all these years that you've had good city services is because I tried as hard as I could. But the mayor and her director of streets are not listening, and so they're not picking up our trash. So it's nothing I can do. Please call Tashar Jones at 622-3201. And I also gave your information because they're not listening to me. Because if you listen to me, pick up trash first, okay? And the rest of it, I'll have to come and I'll take anybody can call me and say, Sharon Tice, why are you saying not recycling? And I'll say, because the trash needs to be picked up. So I'm now openly telling them to call the mayor. And I'm gonna tell them, so you gotta be just like the recycling people. You gotta make a lot of noise. So then the mayor goes, oh, these people over here are mad, because although North St. Louis, they're not the people that you hear the most. But I tell you what, when it comes time for election, where she got her most votes from, those are the people that will stay at home and will not vote for her anymore. And those are the people I'm hearing right now all over my part of town saying she ain't doing nothing. Okay, so this trash thing is how you get out of office. There's a lady named Jane Burns that became the first female mayor of Chicago, and she did it about getting snow picked up. It's the same thing about trash. We already have a tricky situation in this city about race relations and about who gets what service. And the people are not wrong. We have something called the Team 4 plan, which I'm going to send to you. And it says, how do you let North St. Louis dry up? You take away all their city services. One of the specific things they talk about in the Team 4 plan is not picking up trash. I am the recipient of my ward was so clean and middle class that Francis Slay and group decided they would tear up the real 20th ward because we didn't lose population. We were building things. That's all in the Team 4 plan, how to destroy Black communities. And that is a real concern. So that's what people see in my community. And I'm being very honest with you about what's happening. So if you're doing recycling and you're picking up trash less often, that's not a good trade-off. And that's what I'm saying to you. And you may think, oh, we're just trying to take the mayor's concern. And I'm telling you, and I don't care what the mayor is saying, that's not the valid concern. And I don't think that if you ask each alderman on this panel or all the people that's not on this panel, if you gotta have me pick up all the trash and then I'll get to the recycling, they will all tell you, pick up all the trash first, okay? Unless they're getting it picked up in their community. Now, I'm raising the hell, but the truth is, in the alley behind 4968 Maffett Place, they come and take care of me because they know where I live. And so they pick my trash up. But it's not okay to pick up my trash and not to pick up the rest of the people's trash in my community. And it's not okay to pick up Alderwoman Boyd's trash, but not the rest in her community, because we represent our whole entire communities, okay? And so we cannot have this. And you don't know this, but Randy knows this. We have alleys where LRA owns properties. They haven't cleaned out the backyards or picked up, cut the trash or cut the branches and trees and stuff for 5 and 6 years. So there are these big alleys that's got all this stuff in them, and then people put trash on top of that. And so Black people didn't sign up for that. They're not doing that. That's the city doing that. And everybody thinks that's okay. And Todd Waltman, who used to be the director of operations, came up with this stupid idea of not cutting the lots and the property in North St. Louis, but every 6 to 8 to 12 weeks. And so you have this tall grass that's up to here, which is illegal, because our city law said you can't have the grass any taller than 6 or 7 inches. But he came up with that because most of the LRA property is in North St. Louis, so it didn't bother him. He was okay with that, and so was Francis Slay. So when I talk about systemic racism, I'm talking about people who made policy decisions who knew damn well better than him and did them anyway because they didn't affect where they live. Now, the mayor does not understand this, and I'll say again, because she's never been an alderman, but I have been. And you cannot do that. We didn't always have to do recycling. And I don't care about recycling as opposed to picking up trash. You got to pick up the trash. And if you make me, I will call the Republican and I will say, Eric, come on, man, you need to work together to sue the city of St. Louis because they are violating the Hancock Amendment. Ask the city council about the Hancock Amendment and tell her to give you an opinion about it. And it says that it happened back in the, I can't even remember what years, but it basically said that you could not have taxes without having an election. And the only way you could raise things is that you had to be given a service. So so it was decided that we were given a service by picking up trash, but you can't give partial service to one. You're not going to have me paying $14 and I get something different from somebody else. Just like I will not go to the grocery store and these bananas cost $2 and I get 6. And then somebody over there for $2, they get 12. That's not going to happen. And that's what I'm saying. And I don't know if you asked the city councilor specifically about the Hancock Amendment, but you can go ask them now. And as I said, you don't have to, because I will, when I get off of this call, I will talk to the mayor about you need to pull that pressure back off of the director because she needs to pick up the trash first. Okay. And I'm just telling you that won't be you, that will be me. She cannot listen if she wants to. And then I will every week have a report showing about all the trash and driving all the reporters through North St. Louis neighborhoods and saying, this is what the mayor wants, because she don't give a damn about North St. Louis. That will be my drumbeat for the next 3 years. You will pick up my trash. And I'm just telling you, and I will do whatever else. I will bring people to picket her house. I will bring people to picket your house. I will do what I have to do to get my trash picked up in my communities. And that's what I'm making you understand. So all the stuff about what the mayor's, I don't care. She's only one person just like me. And she don't even know this city as well as I do. And I'm telling you that out loud for people to hear. Trash is more important. Alderwoman Boyd, do you believe trash is more important than recycling?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Alderwoman, I know I'm not going to ask Alderwoman Shameen Clark, but that's the mayor's alderperson. Alderman Vaccaro, do you believe trash is more important to pick up than recycling?
He's on mute.
I've been on the news multiple times. And Randy knows it. Randy, how many neighborhood complaints? I'm talking about neighbors. Just even yesterday, just even the day before, what am I sending about? 8 to 10 a day? And these are the people that are calling me up, yelling at me. And the only reason I keep sending it to you, including them, asking you to respond to both of us and not just me, because, you know, Randy, I mean, if I call you, I know you get it done. But I'll tell you what, 3 weeks behind or whatever on bulk pickup and all that. But can I ask one question just really quick? And
oh no, you can ask as many, but I just want to ask you this: if you have to choose between recycling or picking up bulk and trash, aren't you going to pick bulk and trash over recycling?
Yes.
Okay, now you can say whatever you want.
And I already said that the trucks get 4 miles to a gallon, that we're putting out more pollution in a day. You know, it costs us $1,000+ a day for the extra run on the recycling. I already publicly said all that. And it's costing more than we're getting back in recycling and probably polluting the air more. But that's what I said. But, and I'm glad they're picking up behind your alley. They're not mine. My wife yells at me all the time. In fact, one of the
but I get jumped on because of that too. Okay.
But I had, you know, one of the complaints was my wife. You know, we're actually literally having to put the trash in the back of our car and drive through the neighborhood to find trash cans that have been emptied. I mean, it's pretty bad. But can I really, and you can tell the truth, our commissioner, you can tell me the truth. But I'm told there's brand new trucks sitting there, and they're telling me that their drivers are said, no, we're not going to use those trucks. And I know one of the excuses they say the trucks are in the shop. Are there brand new trucks sitting there that they're not allowed to use?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, if there's any brand new trucks that are sitting around, we're either waiting for a part from the vendor to get there. But as far as just new trucks sitting around, no, we utilize as many trucks. I mean, my problem a lot of times is I have so many drivers sitting in the ready room because there is no trucks to use. So there should be no new trucks that are not going out.
Well, I'm going to tell you that I was told and that there are trucks sitting there that were not allowed to be used. And I'm not gonna start an argument here, but, and we can talk offline, but the person that told me isn't very much an authority there, so, director, am I just being lied to? Is that what the problem was? Or being maybe not told the truth?
Not sure where you got that from, but like Randy said, every truck that is runnable, we have out on the street. If we have fleet that are not in use, that's because we're waiting on something from the vendor, or we're waiting on parts so that it can be serviced. But any vehicle we have is on the street every day that is runnable.
So Randy, is there brand new trucks sitting there that we're waiting for some adapters? Is that what maybe I misunderstood? Are there brand new trucks that are not moving? Maybe, is it because we're waiting for parts for them? I mean, brand new trucks, and you think they come with all the parts, but is it brand new trucks sitting there that we're waiting for things to be put on them so they're usable?
That's the only thing I can think of. I'm like Director Williams said, we're not holding any trucks back that are fully operational. That's for sure.
How many of those brand new trucks that we're waiting for parts are sitting there?
I don't know that offhand, Joe.
Yeah, I feel like we just got four. I want to say 4 new trucks in the fleet. And so when the trucks come in, they still have additional enhancements. City logos have to be put on them. Sometimes an adjustment to some of the wiring, the cameras have to be mounted in some cases. So those types of things may be happening, but from my understanding, the new fleet that we have, all of that's out on the road at this current time. But if that's something that someone has told you, we have brand new fleet that is operable, that is just sitting, then that's something that I will look into for sure.
Okay, so but I'm just going from what I was told, and that there's brand new trucks sitting there, and we're not allowed to use them.
I'm sorry, did you say cameras have to be mounted?
So we have cameras on our trucks. We have some of the trucks have additional lighting. All of those things have to be done once we get trucks here from the vendor, and then some of them come with some cameras and lighting on it. And Randy, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but we still have to do additional enhancements to the fleet before it can go out on the road. So if that's the case of what you're getting, but from my understanding, the last new fleet we got is all out and being in rotation. I haven't been informed, but if this is something I need to look into, I definitely will.
Can I ask a question? Why do we have to mount cameras before we use the truck?
So you have like reverse cameras to help them when, because some of our alleys, you have to back out, you're making tight turns and things of that nature. So you have cameras to help with all of that, those features. We have cameras in trucks that lets the driver know like what his load looks like, things of that nature that have to be put in so that they can operate.
Can we rent trucks?
So it's my understanding that some years back, we did rent fleet before. And so identifying if that's something that I can utilize the budget for to rent additional fleet while we have maintenance down and things of that nature, that is something that I will look into. Actually, I was on a call just yesterday and someone said, well, in the past, we've rented fleet before. And so I was like, well, maybe that's something we can look into.
So, and this will be my last question.
I'm sorry.
So Randy, if I'm to understand, well, so it isn't that we don't have enough people. You're saying that you got people sitting there waiting, but there's just no truck to put them in.
Oh, it's a combination of both. I mean, on an average day, we're anywhere from 33 to 38 drivers. So every day we're starting out roughly 12 to 15 routes in the hole. And it's also a combination. The mechanics are in the same boat. They're short on people. So, I mean, I looked at our report from them yesterday. We have more trucks underwater than we do that are operational right now.
But didn't we used to go to, like, if I remember, didn't really go to like Bi-State or somebody start fixing these a while back?
I think that they do contract outside vendors. The ESD does. I mean, outside mechanics, they come from different, wherever, but I think they're having a problem hiring those guys too. I mean, they're in the same boat as everybody in the city. They have nobody to work on our trucks.
No, I mean, I get it. My favorite restaurants are, Bear's Garden Shop. I get it. But a lot of places because of people. But I will go back to what the chairwoman said, that the regular trash, and it's got to be a priority, because even in my alley, it's overflowing. So we're putting the trash in the back of our car, driving up and down alleys, finding places to put our trash. I mean, and as we get into summer, you're talking about rats, you're talking about flies, you're talking about people that are in their backyards. And if you're one of the unfortunate ones that have the dumpster by your house and it's overflowing and you're having an outside event, I mean,
Yeah, this was the absolute worst time to start recycling back up, when our trash is the heaviest it is throughout the whole year.
thank
And
you.
and the problem with alley recycling, you might have 10 out of the 12 neighbors that are doing the right thing, but it's those 2 neighbors that do the wrong thing, and then that contaminates the whole load.
Thank you, Randy, for telling the truth. I mean, and that's the truth.
Correct.
I mean, I think that's what we're all getting at, whether it's in North St. Louis, South St. Louis, bulk and regular trash first, bulk,
Correct.
recycling. And I know we're talking about saving the environment, but I think if you did a study about the 4 miles to a gallon that you're getting in those trucks and the amount of pollution that's put out on a route, for the little bit that we're saving the environment on paper goods that we're not even able to get, anyway.
I did that study, Joe. I did a study where we ran down the alley 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. And when we run down that alley 4 times, our carbon footprint is just gigantic.
Exactly.
Well, and I said that on the news, and a lot of the recyclers were like, oh, no. We'd rather see the recycling. I think, and it instead of having it, I think people that recycle are willing to walk a little bit, but maybe think about where we put the recycling dumpsters, so that we're not going up and down every alley. Maybe put them in strategic places. I know you got some already, but then some people would argue, well, then you got to drive to get to there. But maybe you put 2 of them at the top of an alley, or at either end of an alley, 1 at either end. I don't know the answer. I just know exactly what you said. Our carbon footprint, the amount of fuel, the cost to go and pick that recycling up. Randy, I know it was around $1,000 just in fuel alone for 1 run. Well, what do you think the cost with the people and everything? So 1 run for recycling. What do you think the cost is? And I don't know the answer. I'm just asking your best guess.
Oh, I couldn't even guess, Joe. I mean, those trash trucks, like you say, they barely get 2 miles a gallon, probably. I mean, if alley recycling's tough, because like I said, you get 1 person that doesn't care and it contaminates the whole load. I think the way to do recycling is like we used to do it, is you just add more drop-off sites throughout the city and make it convenient. If you want to recycle, you only have to drive this far. Add some more drop-off sites. People that are going to recycle, they'll drive to those places.
That's what I think. We could put them in some of the corners of the parks. I mean,
we never had a contamination problem when we were doing the drop-off sites, because people that did that, they were doing the right thing.
Right.
And then we used to have the little, because I still got my tub. Because I paid extra for the tub, okay? Because I'm a recycler. So I'm one of those crazy people, but I'll pay extra. So because we got too many dumpsters in the alley a lot of times anyway. with those recyclings. So
Right.
I thought we put those dumpsters in there because at that point, recycling was something we were making some money off, and we're not doing that anymore.
No,
So
we used to make a lot of money off recycling. Now we pay almost double what we pay for trash, or, you know, it's probably about at least a 40% increase what we pay for our solid waste to get, you know.
There's enough parks that if we just added, you know, them locations, or enough locations like the chairwoman said, that we can still make it really convenient and easy to recycle, save how much money we're spending on the trucks, because we can still do it. And I agree, people that are going to drive an extra block to recycle, you know, I know that over here, they do have some over by the fire station. And people do go over and put them in there. And I'm sure that whatever you're picking up there is good.
Mhm. And yeah, when we discontinued that recycling for a while, we had to pick up our drop-off sites 6 days out of the week because people were using them so much. So people will drive to those sites to use them.
right, exactly.
Well,
And let me just ask, could we also add in, like for me, if I don't want to drive, and maybe though it doesn't, I like the tubs, just putting them out front. You couldn't put that much, but it was so the people who really wanted to do it, I would pay the extra for you to come in. And was that the city or was that a private company?
Yeah, that was Earth Circle Recycling that did that.
I would pay for extra for them and let them do it or something. Maybe the city don't do recycling anymore if it's costing us that much.
I think rather than rethink about where you're going to pick up trash or make it more pickups in this area and less in area, which isn't even if my neighborhood's one that's getting more pickups, it's not working. You know, I mean, I'm just getting beat up. I'm even sitting here, I'm getting voicemails. I mean, I could play some for you if you want. I mean, it's just endless. And I know right now I'm getting beat up on regular trash, although they did get over here and do it. But the bulk pickup, I'm getting beat up on bulk. And you know what's funny? And this is true. I get little to no calls about recycling. I mean, I don't think anybody's called me to say, hey, my recycling dumpster, you know.
That's right.
And what's happening, and I know we're short on dumpsters, you're going to get them in, but I also know people call me and say, look, my dumpster's been out of my alley, my regular one, so I'm just throwing stuff in the recycle because I'm not going to run up and down all the alleys trying to find a dumpster when my alleys doesn't have. So
that's what we're seeing. We're monitoring all our recycling loads, and that's pretty much what we're seeing. I mean, they're pretty much all trash still.
I know. Well, and I guess until you get the other dumpsters, I just think I agree with the chairwoman. I think you need to rethink, you know, and the mayor's given in the political pressure, and she's got a whole staff of people that answer phone calls where everybody has our cell phone numbers, and they'll call me and they get mad and they act like I have something to do with the trash not getting picked up. And then I forward stuff to you and to Todd, and I'll start including, you know, the new committee, you know, director in there now. She's going to send me her information, but you're going to get probably, and Randy, Todd will tell you, you're probably going to get just from me somewhere between 10 and 15 complaints a day about trash. And if all of us do that, times however many of us are left now, you're going to have an enormous amount of emails, you know, that you'll be answering, and I think you'll feel our pain. And it's not, trust me, it's not against, you know, Jamie or Randy or Miss Williams. You know, it's not against any of you. It's just we're fighting for our neighborhoods, and you're fighting a system that's someone told you, you're being told, well, we want you to start doing this because that's your boss, but we're sort of all your bosses. But the mayor is your big boss and says, well, they want to see this restart back up. And you're being the best employees you can, and you're tasked with doing this. But being in my own business for years, sometimes I bought like cheaper soap because the salesman told me this will do a better job. And my employees would come in and tell me, Joe, we're spending twice as much time trying to get the tires clean with the junk you bought us. So, I mean, that whole empower your employees. Don't be afraid to speak up and say, look, this isn't working. But you can't systematically say, we're going to treat one area different than another. And it's not even working. If my neighborhood's one of the ones that's getting the better pickup, and I feel really bad for those because it's pretty bad over here. But anyway, I'm not going to beat up on you guys because, again, Jamie and Randy, when I pick up the phone, and I will say the mayor, when I text the mayor, she does reply. She might send me to somebody, but she does reply to me. I'll give her that. But I think you guys just need to be honest and say, look, it's just, this is not working. Come up with a better system. Maybe we take these recycling dumpsters that the haters will always hate, but I think we move them to either the ends of the alleys where it's an easier pickup, or we move them to a spot, or we contract the recycling out, which I would even be willing to say, look, if we're going to recycle it out, I'd be willing to say, we could work on having a fee or somewhat more to do that. But if we're getting everybody's trash picked up, I just know, like, that's bad. And the other problem, now when we throw it in the car and drive around, I got other neighbors that are storing it in their garages and backyards. So even though the truck goes down the alley, within that night, the dumpsters are back over full because everybody was storing their trash and they throw it in there. I don't know, these are, and I'm not complaining, I'm just pointing out, and I with the chairwoman can't say enough nice things about Randy. I think Randy should have been paid a commissioner salary.
He should be the commissioner.
Well, but even though when he wasn't even the commissioner, but yet he's where we all went to for 3 years. And he's the one who, but we beat him up. Randy, you got to meet us over here. He actually comes out and does stuff. Whatever we're paying Randy isn't enough, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm not there to beat up on you. I was just wanted to ask about the trucks that are not in use. And basically, we need to rethink, how we're doing things. And maybe we go to sites versus, and like you said, Randy, if we go to the sites, the people that are going there, they know how to recycle. And we're getting good recyclable things that in our carbon footprint that we're putting out is way worse.
Right. Yeah, with the sites, I can just assign 1 or 2 trucks to just do recycling sites.
Correct.
It's their only job.
And
I see Alderwoman Boyd's hand up.
I'm gonna jump off. I'm gonna mute myself, so I'm good here.
First, let me be real transparent. This trash issue didn't just start with this administration. And so this has been an ongoing thing. And so when Nick Young left, Randy jumped in with both hands and feet. And Alderwoman Tyus laughs at me all the time because I thought Randy was my own personal trash man. Because anytime I call, I look up, it's done. And so I didn't know he was dealing with the whole city. So, and that says a lot, Ms. Williams, for that employee, because as the other older people say, he wasn't the commissioner. He was just Randy Brightfield. And I had never, ever seen Randy until I think a year or so ago. And I was like, oh, this is Randy, because he was always out there doing the work. And I always told him, because me coming from the corporate world, I told Randy, it's not you, it's the people under you. And when I first got in office, I would tell Randy, and he said, all the woman is taken care of. And then I would come back, no, it's not. And I would take the picture and say, here it is, Randy. And so it was the people that were under him was telling him, yeah, it was taken care of. And so Randy, like any other manager, had to figure it out. Oh, okay, so they BSing me. Let me get on top of this. But what we're trying to get you all to understand, North St. Louis was already behind the 8 ball before we even got to this point. And so Holly Hills, Dutchtown, all those communities were already taken care of, and we were already left out in the cold. And so when I'm getting pictures, I just had somebody text me and said, I'm listening to this call and we have our dumpsters are running over. And so I literally rode alleys Saturday, Friday and Saturday, taking pictures saying, this is what's going on. I need this picked up. So I'm just trying to figure out, how did we get to this area? You know, because like I said, the new administration walked into this, but they're listening to people that's not in our communities that are having the issues, because our community, they're not the type that's going up and scream and holler and jump. They'll call the older people and say, this not done. Other communities, they'll call CSB and they'll call everybody else. But what people don't understand is CSB is turning them back to us. They saying, well, did you call your older person? Why would they call us? We don't do the trash. We don't have nothing to do with the trash. And so, Bethany, I asked you about the employees' input. I didn't mean that them coming in talking to you. I mean, have group sessions where you all could listen and make them not feel intimidated, where they can speak their opinions. Because I'm sorry, we continuously keep looking at the people for the top to fix it. You all on the street. Every time I see a refuse truck driver, the first thing they say, Alderwoman, we need help. And so when and I told them yesterday in that meeting, when they taught in public safety, they was personnel said, well, we give them $3,000. That was discrimination to me. I kept saying, so why did you give it to one department, then give it across the board bonus? And so we have to do business differently. That's just the bottom line. We got to do it differently. And again, and Randy probably could tell you some alleys that he has gone through. And he'll always tell me, I had to get the backhoe. I had to clean it out. You know, when people sending me pictures of rats and rodents in their alleys, that's embarrassing to me as a city person, because we shouldn't have to live like this. And so all I'm asking is, you all have to listen to your employees that's on the ground floor, because I'm sorry. And me being a previous manager, I had to learn the hard way. I don't have all the answers. They're in the trenches doing the fight. So they can tell you, they got ideas. Talk to them, listen to them, because like I said, the administration picked up on this, they grabbed this mess, but at the end of the day, North St. Louis was already behind. So we never gonna catch up. We behind on everything. And so that's just what I'm asking you all. If you all could just start looking, because I was just thrown the weekend. I was just blown away. I told Alderwoman Tyus, this is ridiculous. It's alleys I couldn't even go down. I couldn't even, so I know a lot of trucks can't get down because of all the trash everywhere. So that's what I'm just telling you. Just always, Bethany, keep in mind, North St. Louis was already behind the 8 ball. And so you saying we get 1 day a week, that just put us further behind. We'll never catch up. So that's what I had, Madam Chair.
Okay. And I want to just say, it's not just trash trucks. Like I said, we got the largest amount of LRA property. So, and this is, I'm gonna take up for forestry because the Alderman from the 27th is the chair of Parks, Recreation, and Forestry. So forestry was supposed to be cutting the parks, some city property, and then when private people didn't cut their grass. But what happened is we had this explosion of LRA property. And they don't have enough people to cut grass. So they started literally just cutting the front yards of a lot of the LRA property, if that. A lot of times the neighbors cut the front yards. So the literally, the backyards are jungles of this LRA property. So once they haven't cut it for 4 or 5 years, then people put trash into that. So I'm looking for this administration to come and put some money, because I don't care if you hire backhoe drivers or whatever, clean these backyards up, tear these buildings down, and then that'll get some of the trash out the alleys. But when you have maybe 4 or 5 LRA properties on an alley, and they have let them put yard waste and everything else, because people go through it and they find out once they see where you can dump, you dump more, then the trash becomes more. It is a vicious cycle. And so the reaction you're getting from me is just what the Alderman from the 27th said, is because we already know. I didn't have this when I left. I had a little black middle-class ward with very few problems. And so they took my ward and tore it up into 5 different wards and put into all the wards. And the significant difference with that is not even anything to laugh at, because those people could not take care of my wards. And so now when you go to the 47 and 4800 blocks in my Kingsway East neighborhood, it's a mess. It was in the 4th ward. I got 42 houses that I have requested LRA to tear down. You come across Euclid, that's where I live. It's a whole different environment because people own their houses and they didn't move away. But so all that trash is down there in the 47 and 4800 in the same neighborhood, literally a street divider is what's going on. You go into the 47, 40, 50, 51, 5200 blocks. I don't care how they try to get that trash up. We don't have enough trash pickup. And so we got problems after problems. We never can do just a regular route because we're always trying to do catch up. So I agree with the Alderwoman. It didn't happen under this administration. In fact, the prior two administrations, 20 years, 16 years of Francis Slay, 4 years of Lyda Cruson, they believed in privatizing things. So I think part of the problem is that they let us get less and less people instead of hiring people when we could have. And because they wanted to privatize water, trash, and other things. But I do know that I have a headache from just this morning. I got, while I was on here, 3 or 4 more people talking about their trash not being picked up. And I know this is your whole citywide thing. I just want it to be a fair appropriation. We cannot have 1 trash pickup a week. So like I said, as soon as I get off this phone, I'm going to call the mayor. I'm going to text the mayor. I'm going to email the mayor and say, I don't care what those people are saying. Those people want recycling, then just let their alleys just get recycling and let their trash pile up. I'll guarantee you, as soon as their alleys look like the alleys that we're talking about, they will call you and say, okay, we're done with recycling. Let's do trash. But long as they got their trash picked up, they're like, oh, I want my recycling too. They don't understand what other people are going through. So if that's what they want is recycling, give them only recycling and don't pick up their trash. And then they'll get then they'll be just where we are, because nobody wants trash picked up in their alleys all this time. And I do like the idea about having the different places. I'm going to talk to the mayor about that. I'm going to talk to the director of operations. We have to do something different. I want to go back to, you talked about how they divided supervisors. I don't ever understand this. If you got supervisors that ride through the alley and they're supposed to be looking at if the dumpsters are empty, but if they see a big pile of somebody illegal dumping, are they supposed to report that? What's supposed to happen? I know the trash truck drivers are not to, but are the supervisors supposed to report that?
They should be, and so should the driver. I mean, although the problem with the driver doing that, on their trip ticket, they have areas where they can list things like, there's no hooks on the dumpster or
Right.
There's no lid. But, if they had to start doing that for every pile of illegal dumping they saw, I think I'd have to give each one a notebook every day.
Correct. That's why I said not the drivers, but shouldn't the supervisors have places to?
That's why we have foremen out there.
Yeah, okay, foremen. I call them supervisors. Because I don't, but I have a committee man / husband who works with me because we haven't had a neighborhood improvement specialist in 2 years and some months. So thank you, Mr. Sterling Miller, because he gets out and works with me to get things done. But when we drive those alleys, when we see things that's illegal dumping and we turn it in, but if we don't turn it in, that would be there 3, 4, 5, weeks. Somebody to me, like the supervisor or what did you say, what you call them? You don't call them supervisors.
Foremen.
They're not doing their job. How can you drive through and not see that?
Yeah, you should see it if you're driving through the alley.
So you should see it, right?
Absolutely.
And you should report it.
That's why they're out there.
Well, I'm telling you, if we don't do it, sometimes I've tested it and it just doesn't get done. And I'm like, wow. So how many foremen do you have for an area?
Yeah, that's a problem. For a long time, I only had 3 foremen for the entire city.
You had 3 for the entire city?
3 route foremen for the entire city. Thank goodness one just came back. He was in an accident. He just came back, so I got 4 now.
How many would you need ideally?
I don't know what's in our TO. I think at least a total foreman is at least a dozen in our TO, I think. Now that includes maintenance foreman, bulk foreman, and route foreman.
Okay, so, and this is a question. So, and you've seen the backyards where forestry haven't cleaned up for a long time and they need to do a backhoe if you go through there. So forestry is supposed to do that. But when they clean it up, do they use your dumpsters do they bring their own dumpster out because they were in my alleys maybe several months ago with backhoes and cleaning out several LRA properties. Do they use your dumpsters? So what do they do when they do that? Do you know?
I'm not sure about forestry, but I know street department, they utilize their own dumpsters. I'm not sure how Alan does it. I don't think he would be using our dumpsters. But
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I'll ask him. Okay.
So they contact the streets department and then we go out, we have a unit that goes out and pick up where they've cut down trees or cleaned out backyards or whatever they've done. They send us those properties in on Saturdays. I feel like mainly on Saturdays, that's when our crews go out and do that work.
Okay, but what if they're doing, okay, but did you say, I live at 4968. Let's say my house was an LRA property and it had all of this, because I've seen the whole yard is full up to the top of past the fence with bushes and trash. So when I send something out and ask Greg Hayes or Alan Jakowski to clean that up, so you're telling me that they then have to contact you for a dumpster? They don't have their own dumpsters?
They don't have I don't know. I can't speak on what equipment they have. I just know that when they cut down trees or clean out, they send us a list of properties, and then that's where we go out with our bulk services here and pick all of that up.
Okay, thank you for saying the word equipment. Did you all turn in a wish list to the mayor's office or Ways and Means of what you all need as far as equipment?
So we did not turn in a list of equipment because in our budget, we did have some items that we needed. What I did find that before I got here, a lot was put into fleet. So this budget, it's only just the regular rotation of the fleet funding that you will see in the FY23 budget. And the city works, but our St. Louis Works budget, we have additional paving equipment to look at how do we increase the number of streets we can pave and all of that. But other than that, it's just the regular rotation of equipment that's in our annual budgets.
And what about dumpsters? Where is that?
So we just got funding for additional dumpsters. We just, Randy, I feel like, how many dumpsters are we anticipating to come in within the next, hopefully, few weeks? Is it?
Like $1.4 million. Well, not in the next few weeks, but that's what we got.
Yeah.
Approved for.
Yeah,
And that's
so
for a citywide replacement of dumpsters that need replacement, right?
right.
Okay, and so I know this problem we're having with people stealing the hooks. We didn't used to have that. I mean, literally, when you get one problem solved, the thieves spend all this time thinking of how they can create another problem. So I know, Randy, you and I had some conversations about looking at a different way, because I know we finally got with the roll carts, we now have something that can pick them out without the hooks on them, I think is what we did, right?
Yep.
Okay, so what are we doing with the dumpsters? Have we figured out anything about that yet? And the hooks?
Well, we're basically just trying to make it a little harder for them to take them off. I mean, we used to just put one locking nut on there. I think we're putting a couple on there now just to make it a little more difficult for them to take it. Can't mount them on the outside or anything like that. It just won't support the weight of the dumpster. Or I'm sorry, on the inside. Yeah, we're just trying to make it harder for them to take them. I mean, if they want to get in the alley and take them, they probably can. But like I said, we're just trying to make it more difficult.
So what is, so my ideal is to go more to yard waste. I mean, I'm not yard waste, into roll carts. And I know some people didn't like that in the past when I talked about that, because they said it would take longer to empty the trash.
Yeah, so one dumpster serves 4 houses, so we would have to put 4 roll carts, out for every dumpster. And the problem we found out with alleys, we strategically place the dumpsters in the alleys because there's wires, there's garages, there's parking pads, or you name it. And what we found out when we did that pilot it used to be Ward 20 when Craig Schmidt was alderman. People put them out in the alley, they'll put them under wires, they'll put them here, they'll keep them in the alley, they won't roll them out. So that was our problem with putting carts in the alley. It was just a big failure.
Okay.
Randy, couldn't they, I know it would take some time, but when these new dumpsters come in, couldn't they just throw a quick tack weld on there? That would keep anybody from taking them off. I'm a pretty good welder, but maybe we can get the one of the unions over. They could train their people in welding dumpsters.
Yeah, I'd be willing to try anything, because that is such a problem for us now. And I don't know where they're taking these hooks, because I've had the EIU detectives go and talk to all the scrap dealers and all that, showing them what the hooks look like. So I don't know if they're taking them out of state somewhere or what they're doing with them, but it's the problem. It's still a problem.
And Joe, what did you say that, Alderman Vaccaro, what did you say that they could do to them?
Well, the new ones, when they come in, it would only take, if you brought it like an arc welder over there, it would only take about a minute a dumpster to throw a quick arc. Where the hooks are put, you can weld them. You can do a little spot on each side, and that would make them, you couldn't take them off. You'd have to have a welder or a cutter, and it would be useless then. It would take them forever to get one off.
Yeah. The problem with that though is, those hooks are really expensive. And when a dumpster goes bad, the hooks are usually good. So we recycle those hooks and use them over. I mean, we're paying big money for a hook. Those are 1/4-inch steel. So
right, but you can take a torch and take them off. You can cut a weld with the torch and then use them again and weld them on the next thing. But I mean,
Joe, don't give the crooks no ideas.
no, I mean, they're not going to go out there with the blowtorch and take.
Don't underestimate them, trust me.
Okay, so it was a failure with the roll carts in the alley, roll carts in the streets. That's been okay.
That's been okay, yes. You don't have the issues in the street like you do in the alleys.
Okay.
So could I ask a question?
Go ahead.
The challenge that I see, because one of my residents was asking about, could we increase bulk pickup? But Alderwoman Tyus and I had this conversation several times, and it's not about, I'm changing the subject because you know I kind of talk fast. But the challenge that I have, and Alderwoman Tyus will probably say who changed this, is when forestry cuts the properties, get all the bulk stuff and put it on the curb, and it sits there for a year. And I know, and it's not Randy, and it's Jamie, because those people are supposed to come. And Alan said he gives them their route where they going, and they supposed to come right behind them, and they don't. And so I know that's one issue. And then the resident was talking about increasing bulk pickup, and I said that about the forestry and stuff. It's because we have a problem with the bulk pickup, because she's saying, can you increase to twice a week? We having a problem getting it once a week, because sometimes I'll pull the truck over and say, this whole alley, they got all this furniture. And I think what's going on, Randy, you have people that either evicting people are moving. And so the bulk is picking up, and off the main streets, we have these contractors that's coming in our wards and they're dumping. So it's like, it's literally like you all were talking about the recyclable, have to have a dumpster sitting right there. You would literally have to have a truck waiting, because their EIU is running ragged trying to catch these people. So that's what we're dealing with. And in my ward, I can only speak in my ward, we have an increase of renters. So the areas that you have the homeowners, you don't have these issues like that. The only time you might have an increase is like when I talked to Randy Saturday and Alan, it was about these seniors. And so they can't really get out in those alleys and clean. And so I saw that you all were trying to clean that up. But we just got to come up, we got to think outside the box. That's all I can come up with, because this is a health issue to me. You know, I tell people constantly, and the previous health director didn't listen when I told him. I said, the COVID numbers, the asthma numbers, the cancer numbers are increased in our communities because we have more trash and dumping than other areas. So that's where I'm at.
So I want to address a couple things. One, Jamie is responsible for our traffic department. Traffic signals and lighting is what Jamie's covers. So our debris team comes out of our streets department, our streets division, which is under Kent Flake. That department, like I said, and I went to a community meeting on Saturday, and that is where I learned more of how forestry calls us to say that they've cleaned out or they've done whatever they've done. And now here we are to pick up. And when is that list communicated to the streets department, our bulk, our debris team? When is that list given to them, and how should they carry that out? So it is my understanding that it is a breakdown in that time from when forestry is telling us and when we're actually getting out to do the service. So like I said, on Saturday, that was brought to my attention, where before I didn't even know how forestry informed them. It's not that we follow right behind them. And, you know, if I had a dedicated truck that I could put with a forestry team, we would do that. They will follow right behind them so that they could pick up those, you know, whatever they're cutting down trees and cleaning up, they could do that at that time. So that is something that we're working on. How do we increase accountability and efficiency in the transition of properties they've already completed in the streets department, getting out and doing that work to clean up whatever their debris or trash or leaves or whatever they're putting in the alleys or in front of the homes to be picked up.
Can I stop you right there? That didn't always used to be like that. So when they used to cut grass, they used to get all that stuff up immediately. Todd Walterman, when he was director of operations, changed that and then moved it, I think, from it used to be, I don't know, where is it under streets now? It used to all be under forestry. That's a dumb idea to me. I have always advocated that you cut grass in areas, and I will just use an area. If you're gonna cut grass between Kings Highway and Union and between Martin Luther King and Natural Bridge, go in there and cut everything. Cut the parks, cut the property, cut the lots, and trim at the same time and clean up at the same time. This division of labor, you're gonna come back for this, come back for that, is bull crap. Okay, and it also leaves, there always is tall grass in the neighborhoods, because if you cutting lots but you're not cutting houses, then you got a house next to a lot and you got the crew out there, but you cut the lot but not the house. That's crazy. And you got the parks all trimmed up, but right across the street are lots in the house and that's not picked up. Then you cut all the stuff. So that didn't, that was not done like that. That was some ignoramus on Todd's part. And I want the mayor's office to tell them to stop that, because it is not fair for you all to have to come back out. You got all that you need to do. Is that the forestry should be picking that up themselves, and that crew should go back and be with forestry, and it should be done at the same time. So this happened in the last, I don't know, 7 or 8 years, but that was not like that before. When I was a 20th Ward Alderwoman, when it was in North St. Louis, they cut and picked up everything, and we never, this was not a problem we ever had. So this is a problem that was created by somebody who I think that, again, he makes decisions because they don't affect where he lives. So he does not understand how that affects people when they cut their grass and everybody else's grass is cut, and then this trash and stuff is sitting in front of people's houses or on the street or wherever for weeks on end. And it also makes me have to drive through that and then turn it into Alan or you guys and say, come pick it up. When if they just did it all at the same time, that would not be a problem. And so I'm not an advocate of you fixing that problem. I'm an advocate of going back to the way it was done when it was not a problem. Go ahead.
And the next thing I have is to talk about Board Bill 184, I think it was, yes, that has additional funding for additional alley cameras to help monitor some of the illegal dumping. We have cameras that are currently out now, and Randy can speak to how, you know, in some cases, he's moved some of them around to different areas where we see high volume in illegal dumping. And until we can get funds moved over from Board Bill 184 and we can purchase new cameras that can be installed, as well as increasing the software and how it works with the police department, and they don't have to go out in the field to obtain video. It's more, it will be Wi-Fi, I could guess you could say, to the police department, and then they can sit and review cameras, and it gives them more visible pictures as they're helping with that task force that looks at illegal dumping. So currently, what we are trying to do, look at the cameras we have. If we have hotspot areas, and we know that we do, you know, Randy has taken the time. If someone calls him and say, you know, this dumping, you came and cleaned it up Wednesday, is back out here Thursday, you know, some of those types of things, we are able to move some of those cameras around with the Board of Aldermen's approval, or the alderperson's approval, that yes, this is something, this camera needs to be moved, this camera needs to be relocated, so that we can collect some of this data and get some of these people that's doing illegal dumping.
I have a question. You said something about moving funds. You haven't got the money for what we allocated yet?
So we saw where the lines have been set up, but I am not sure that the funds have totally been moved over to order equipment. And so right now, we're in the process of just making sure that once those funds become available to us, we are ready to start doing that work and make orders and do all of that type of stuff.
I will make some calls. I thought you all had the money by now. Okay.
Yeah, Jamie and I have been looking almost every other day, waiting to see where these funds and making sure that they're dropped into the account so we can start those ordering processes.
So would that be the comptroller's office, would that be, who has the funds held up?
I
You
am
know?
not sure about that. I
Jamie, do
can't
you know?
speak to that.
I don't know. I think it's the comptroller's office. It's got to hit our accounts. We just can't put a requisition in for materials without having a balance in the account to show for that.
I'll call her. She'll be my second call.
So is that oral, that new thing where you key in the information? Okay, because
But that's how you pay out, yes. And so,
Right,
yeah.
Alderwoman Tyus, that program is really challenging departments. People can't get
I know.
orders. Yeah, and I
I
did
know.
call the comptroller and I called Michelle. I talked to all of them. I was like, what is going on? So yeah, it's
We need to get more training on that. It's not just
Yeah.
in city. I mean, I talked to the sheriff's office. Everybody I talk to says that that is a problem. But I think, so I will find out from the comptroller if they are the people who signed the contract to get that. Because we do need to bring out more training for everybody. But sometimes the comptroller they can make miracles happen. They can do things a different way. So I'm going to call her also to see if she can get your money, because we need your money right away. Okay, so that you can do that. And do you have a listing of where all the alley cameras are?
The current alley cameras, we do have a listing of that. And then whenever, like I said, when Randy goes out and move them, then that's updated on the list of where the cameras are. And when we look at putting the new cameras in, when they come in place, we will start with our hotspot areas that we know that we have.
And then the new cameras will be interactive with the police. Is that it?
So the new cameras, as well as hopefully the old cameras, will be able to be updated, that they can respond to, what's the name of that unit at the fire department or police department?
EIU, Environmental Investigation Unit.
No, she's talking about, but isn't she talking about the computer system that they have there?
For the
She's talking about the real-time crime center.
real-time crime center.
Thank you.
There you go.
Real-time crime center. Thank you.
I just have a challenge with that because the Real Crime Time Center, they're doing it throughout the city now with those cameras. And so it's just interesting that now they're adding more to them. And so how are we looking at that to be productive? Because they're challenged. To me, I mean, it's just like the cameras now on the streets are becoming like the shell cars. And so how are they going to improve? If you put a camera in front of my house and I never see a police, I'm gonna figure nobody's paying attention to that camera. So that's what I'm saying.
Well, if somebody were to dump something, the real-time crime cameras can go backwards in time. They're recording like a recorder. So if there's something dumped in the alley, they may not see it when it gets dumped, but I believe they can go back, and somebody would have to tell me how far back, but I do believe they go back at least 20 hours or better. So if something shows up, they could also go from that camera to the next camera, to license plate readers, but they can actually get that vehicle dumping and the people dumping, and they can go down to the next camera, the next one, because they go back in time. They're not necessarily, there all,
They don't have to be monitored all the time.
Right.
Once you report a crime, they can just go to that time and date of the crime or the dumping, and then take the footage, and then they use that footage to pursue the people.
Okay, so they don't have to be sitting there looking at it.
Correct.
Okay, all right. That's what I was trying to get clarity. Okay.
Okay, Alderman Bosley, how are you?
I said, well, we woke up this morning, one more day to get it right, as long as we're doing that. ma'am.
Okay. All right, do you have any questions or concerns you wanna, this is my vice chair of the committee. Do you have anything you wanna address with any?
I do. Yes, ma'am. I do have one question in particular. I've asked this from the last administration. I'm not trying to be selfish or anything, but everybody has different needs that they have within their areas that they believe that some residents would maybe be willing to spend a little bit more on. One of the things I asked the last administration for previously, this one, would they be amenable to putting cameras in every alley in my ward? We have enough funding to do that based on the cameras that are being utilized now. Of course, if we utilize real-time crime center cameras, that, I mean, way more expensive, but with what we have right now, the ones that are being used, like those deer cameras, they're pretty inexpensive, and having to move them around every time we catch somebody, from my experience, after that happens and people find out that, you know, the camera has been moved, or they see the dumping happens and nobody gets caught again, they just go back and dump in the area where they don't see as people actively being caught. So, you know, with that being said, if we have the funding, I know we're waiting on funding to come from the comptroller's office, but if we do have funds to, let's say, purchase more cameras that we can permanently place there, they can still be removable, but I'd like to permanently place cameras within a lot of the alleys in my wards. From my understanding, those deer cameras are about $200 to $300. The encasing that you put them in are much more expensive, but those are just so people don't shoot them out. It should, I would hope that's optional. I know those cameras are weather resistant. So, you know, with that being said, I most certainly can afford a few hundred of them at $100, $200. So the issue with the last administration, they were saying that we didn't have the personnel to be able to deal with that type of a workload. I don't think every single alley in my ward is being dumped in, but I think once that narrative is out there that we do have cameras in every one of them, then we probably would be less of a place that people would be desiring to dump in, based on them not knowing exactly where those cameras are placed and knowing that there is one in every alley. But I think that's something our residents be willing to pay for, and figure out how to work with this the new director of streets, Ms. Williams, to figure out how it is we can make something like that possible. That is something that we can't afford out of our own budget right now. So I guess the question would be, is that something that you all would be amenable to doing? Do you see any complications with that offhand?
We can look into that. I'm not sure what that process is. If funds, like some of the other functions and actions that we do in this department, funds are transferred over and then we order and install. But we can have that discussion, and I can talk to the internal team to see how do we go about implementing that.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay, I'm sorry. And we're gonna wrap this up because I usually 2.5 hours is all I can do. And then we're gonna come back next week and I'm gonna send you a list of things I wanna look at. I got some things about routes, about some other things, about how you check daily of what's picked up. Because I really have been reached out to so many people from the refuse department. I'm like, wow, I didn't know this many people could write. So, and write and drive the truck at the same time. So they've given me a great deal of information about how that department works. So I'm going to send you a written list, but I wanted to let you finish. I do feel much better because I really do think some of the problem is the mayor's decision to want to recycle again. And so I don't think that's you. Again, I know that political pressure that people do on, and mayors sometimes tend to want to capitulate, but I'm going to also prepare a resolution from the Board of Aldermen and get as many aldermen as I can to sign it, making the mayor understand that if we got to choose between recycling and trash, that we're going to choose trash to be picked up. And also that we're going to ask her to maybe look at a different way to recycle, because I like some of the ideas that Randy is talking about, because I myself know that we don't get the money that we used to get. And I remember we were all excited about it because we was going to get a lot, and we don't. And so when things change, you have to change with them. So I'm glad that I was able to hear that, because I was just so angry with you, Director Williams, because I'm like, what is she doing? Does she not understand? If you go through these alleys and all the calls I'm getting. So I hear a different thing. Now that we've had a conversation, I want to apologize. I know you're trying to do the best you can, but I'm just telling you, I've never been this stressed in 30 years about trash before, never. And you don't have to, okay, and you have the floor to finish talking about whatever you want to talk about, Director.
So I do want to just make sure that trash is the #1 priority, and how do we get all of our waste services collected across the city of St. Louis. I personally understand, and the department understands, my mission, my goal, and my value of how I feel about making sure that everything is equitable and fair to everyone across the city of St. Louis. So at any given time, if anyone has felt that it is not that, or we're doing something different, I am always open, welcome to conversations. If it's me coming to these meetings and communicating with this committee about some of the changes, starting initial conversations on how we can move forward some of those things, I am always open and willing to do that. I do just want to make sure that it's not just about the recycling, what we're seeing here. Before this even happened, 2 years ago when we stopped recycling, we always had a problem with the solid waste collection and how we were picking it up. So it's just not all about how to restart recycling. It's just making sure that we are effective and efficient in how we collect the trash across the city of St. Louis. This is just a pilot. Nothing is in stone here. And every week we're collecting data, and some of this stuff is flipping. We're seeing that where we thought the tonnage was in one place, and we're every month, every week, we are seeing right now, my GIS specialist is giving me data for the last 2 months. And about 10 of these are flipping. Where we thought that you needed more pickup, the tonnage may not show. So this is really data driven. And that's what I just want to make sure that everyone knows. And we're just trying to figure out how can we better effectively pick up solid waste and trash services across the city of St. Louis. So I understand it's a burden. It's a burden for me. My neighbors complain about it. I know it. But it's something that we just have to figure out, how do we get there? And I think with time, we will get there. And like I said, Madam Chairman, at any given time, if you have comments, information, data, policies from the past that you want to share with me, I am always open and welcome to any of those conversations. If it's me going out in the field, I do that as well so that I can see what's going on, because I do know that I cannot always believe what management says. Sometimes I have to see it and do it for myself. And some of these guys will tell you, oh, she's in the field. She came back with a list of stuff that I said I did that we didn't get done. And so the expectation is within the next 24 hours, this is done. So that is where we're going with this department. And I'm more than welcome to continue this conversation and share the data on a monthly basis with you all that we're seeing, and how do we make some changes to honor the commitment to the city of St. Louis. Thank you for this opportunity.
So you remember the whole thing we had, you can put your hand down now. The whole thing we had about the alley lights in St. Louis Avenue, and they sent you a video that you sent to me saying it was done. And I said, no, it isn't. Okay. And prime example, you can unmute so we can have a conversation, please.
Oh, exactly. I was saying, you
prime
sent me,
example.
You
right.
sent me that.
Right.
They sent me a video to say it was done, and we went out and realized that it was we were talking about apples and oranges.
Correct.
The light that needed to be fixed was a personal light that should have been, or had been agreed upon, that was transferred to the city services. And we were able to take care of that and work with Cameron to get that done. So if I don't know about it, I can't do it.
Well, what I'm telling you, your people will say, oh, that's done, and it's not. So when you sent it to me, I was like, I knew it wasn't, because I had been out in the alley. And so finally it took Jamie going out to the alley to see that that wasn't done. Okay.
Right.
And I'm saying that happens all the time. But one of the other things you have to, like I said, I'm not going to be a data-driven person, because I'm going to continue with the law. I pay $14. Either everybody in the city going to get 1 week in dumpsters, or everybody in the city is going to get 2. There's not going to be a difference. And it's not going to be a difference because we got a problem with both sides of the city thinking the other side of the city is getting something. We have written document. I'm going to give you, if I doubt if you've read the Team 4 plan, but when you read it, it'll make you sick because it will talk about how to extract services from North St. Louis, how to do it on purpose, how to do it quietly, and basically that if we won't have enough resources to give and put all the resources on one side of town, but not another one. So I know that I have that document. I have it digitally. I'm going to send it to you. As you read it, then it will make you sick to your stomach. So I know you're trying to do the best, but effective and efficient, but not, I want effective, efficient, and fair and legal, because that's the other thing, and legal. You run into the Hancock Amendment and you have to start paying all these people their money back, then that's not a good way to do what you're doing, okay? And that's what's going to happen if you don't do everybody the same. If you're giving in my alley, once a week, in the alley a block over twice a week, you're gonna have to give me my $3 back, okay? So that's not gonna work either, because the Hancock Amendment says you have to give me my services, okay? Otherwise it's a tax. And if it's a tax, then you have to have an election. You cannot do it. If it's a service fee, you can do it. And they got a whole standard of stuff that I'll send to you and the city councilor about how you stay within the Hancock Amendment and when you do not, okay? And Eric Schmidt likes to go around and sue because he's running for US Senate on the Republican side. So he will love to sue this city because he hasn't sued us about the mask because he wouldn't win, but he's out there suing all other kind of people about the mask. So I'm just telling you that it's not effective and efficient as long as it's fair and legal. That's the things I want to add to it. Data driven is not always the best way because data can be manipulated. And I've been giving everybody this example. I live on an alley that's between Northland Place and Manford Place in the 4900 block. If I got 10 dumpsters in my alley and we all got the dumpsters with the same tonnage, and then you go over and you go to the alley between Northland and Highland and they got the same 10 dumpsters and they got the same trash, and you put 2 trucks down that alley, if they pick up all the dumpsters in my alley and they dump it into the truck, let's just say when you get to the end of the street, which would be Euclid, let's just say you have 10, I don't know, 10 tons from that. But you go into the next alley, and if you don't pick up all of those dumpsters, then that truck from over on the next alley will have a lot less. That doesn't mean it wasn't out there in the alley. It just means they didn't pick it up, okay? And so that's what happened. They pick up every 2 or 3 dumpsters. So then it looks like, oh, well, this alley over here between Northland and Manford got way more trash than the alley between Northland and Highland. And we got the same amount of trash, but the person didn't pick it up. So that's not a good thing unless you got a good, effective way to make sure all the dumpsters are being picked up and all the trash is being picked up. Okay, they turn them on the side. They don't come and get them. They leave them. It's all kind of ways why things didn't get picked up in the alleys. And it doesn't get better with doing less pickup. So I'm just not going to, that's the one thing we're not going to agree to disagree. I'm going to say it's still illegal, and I'm going to get legal opinions and ask you to please either do everybody with 1, do everybody with 2. And then for those people who think that recycling is more important, and I would say start with the mayor's block where she lives. Then just do recycling and let her trash build up in the front of her house. And I know exactly where she and her dad live. And so let that trash build up in front of their house. And then I will see if she thinks recycling is so important. I guarantee you will hear from the mayor saying, come pick my trash up, okay? So that's how you do that. When people think things are so important, when in my community, when somebody reports somebody's building, I'll say, okay, if I send the building division down, I'm gonna send it down to every house. Surprisingly, when they get cited, then they're going, oh, Alderwoman, I got cited, but you cited, you wanted that other person. So if the mayor thinks recycling is so important, please don't pick up the trash in front of her house. Please leave her trash. And when it's tumbling over, I bet you then trash becomes more important. Alderman Vaccaro.
Just very fast. Jamie, when they were talking about street lights, I sent you them the other day. I mean, is there no, I mean, like on some blocks, the ones I sent you, there's 2 and 3 lights out. on that block. Isn't there some way that they can take care of that? Some of them, I mean, don't you got old parts or something?
I'll look at what you sent, but yeah, I was just trying to explain. We've had a back order light since last fall.
Oh, Jamie, I got someone at the front door.
You can tell us, go get the door and we'll listen and tell him.
Okay.
Go ahead,
So-
Jane.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. It's my son.
Okay.
I got that ring camera thing. I see where it is. So yeah, Jamie, I mean, that's the other, I don't want to prolong the meeting.
Let him tell him he was gonna answer, Alderman. What did you say, Jamie?
I was just going to say our LED lights, we had to order them this fall. Originally, there's some contract issues because of price increases between the supply division and the vendor. And then now they've been on back order for a while. I don't know, sitting out in the ocean somewhere, but they're not due in until next month. So they tell us. So we don't have the ability to go out and change out some of the single lights out right now. And I think the alderman's example is he's got several within the same block. So he's asking if I can check if we have anything, even old parts or something like that laying around. So I just said I would follow up with them.
So you do scavenge parts from other light fixtures or city lights or?
I don't believe we have any of the old, usually when we're doing lights, the old stuff would be our high pressure sodium, and we generally don't put those back up. So we'd be putting LEDs when we go through that effort to put them up. But we're just in a bad circumstance right now where we're waiting on that delivery to be made.
So could we, and let me just, couldn't we then just put up the new LEDs so that we wouldn't have to work for parts if he's got old parts? I mean, if he's got old lights?
We don't have the LEDs. That's what we're, yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Alderman Vaccaro.
No, I mean, Jamie, I guess like in some of the blocks where there's 2 or 3 lights out, even if I get it's double work, but maybe we can replace 1 or 2. I mean, it's a safety issue. I mean, and this could be a whole new prolonged meeting. So I'm just getting complaints. You go to neighborhood meetings and they're saying, 4 months ago, this is my number from Citizen Service Bureau. And since then, now the next one over from that is down, and there's another one down the street that's not working. And they're sending me all these numbers and they're asking me, and it just isn't me, because they're saying my NSO looks like she's not doing her job. She's like, I'm not doing my job. And I'm thinking, well, maybe we can replace at least a few of them. And say, look, if there's more than 1 or 2 out on a block, at least put 1 in. I'm just saying, Jamie, I mean, are you saying that's not possible?
If we've got a whole block out or a significant amount and we had old stuff in, we could check in. If I've got stuff put up, we put up, but we've been waiting. It's been, we hear it's June and then they just moved it to July. So just send me the location you have and let me see the exact circumstance. I know you said several, so let me see exactly what.
I did email them to you.
Okay, I'll look at it.
Okay, and I'll pull back the email. Anyway, I'm going to jump off too. My son's here.
Okay, thank you. Alderwoman Boyd, you have anything else?
No, I just feel we got a lot of backtracking to do to clean up. And so Bethany, if you could, we just can't, we're not going to survive with the one time. It's not going to work for us in the North Quarter. And I don't, this generation, I call them the microwave generation. This generation here, they just think everything computers and zap. And I'm the old fashioned walk the alley, see visual things, because I give you that credit, because you said, Alderwoman, send me the streets, I'll go out myself. And so I give that to you, and I give that to Randy, but it's like I said, we've been behind already. So it's no way we're gonna survive if we're already behind. So we're just asking that, one, that you all do a sweep of our areas to get this cleared up. And then two, look at that bulk pickup, and three, listen to your employees, because they're gonna have the input because they're on the ground every day. So that's all I have. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Again, I appreciate this. So 12:30, that's 2.5 hours, that's enough. I will be sending you some stuff in writing of things I want to see, and we will be probably meeting again next week to kind of pick up on what we're saying. Again, you can even do the physical thing, but if you don't clean up that culture that's over there, you're gonna, and I know you just got here, but that culture has to be changed over there. And that's one of the reasons I asked for somebody Black. I asked the mayor's office, I said, they've never had anybody Black. Black and female, that's a big change. So, but that culture has to be changed in the trash department, refuse department. These are people that, and it's not all Black workers that I'm hearing from. I'm hearing from white workers too, because I've been around for 30 years. We cannot make our workers be so unhappy that they rather quit their jobs. That's just not going to be okay. And I'm going to have a meeting with them privately and separately where they can feel comfortable. And if I have to go to each and every one of them one by one, I'm going to meet with them so they can talk about what they're feeling and how they're feeling and how they're being treated. And I am refiling my complaint against Todd Walterman next week about him holding me up and holding me hostage in my office. And there's a person in the mayor's office who witnesses. She was one of our secretaries. She works in the mayor's office. And I'm hoping that he get fired, because I think that'll be the first thing you need to cleaning up that toxic culture over there. And I'm very vocal about it. I've been vocal since he did it. And so it's not the first time I brought it up. It's just the two previous mayors covered up for it and wouldn't do anything about it. So I'm hoping this mayor does do something about it. And I'm filing it with personnel, and Richard Franks covered up for it. And they didn't want to fire Todd because the mayors didn't want to fire Todd. But Todd needs to be fired. And not for just what I've said, for the stuff he's called people, the names he's called people, the people where he's treated. He's a nasty, caustic person. And you're either going to have to make the decision between him or losing a lot of workers. I will get you an email probably first thing next week about the things that I would like to see, okay? And from now we will have conversations, and I will send you the Hancock Amendment, and then you can go talk to the city councilors about why you cannot do it the way you would like to do it, because I will then file a lawsuit and go to the attorney generals and ask him to rule that St. Louis is violating the Hancock Amendment, okay? All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. We don't have Alderman Bosley. You have anything else to say?
No, ma'am. I just appreciate them being here. I do hope that we figure out how to get this grass cut, man. When I say our folks are pissed off
That's
about
not
that,
them. They say that's not them. They're trash.
well, I know they trash. I know, they is. That had nothing to do with the streets department. They are trash.
This is trash. They say they're not gonna take the forestry whooping.
Oh no, they ain't got nothing to do with that.
From the 27th, have a meeting like this.
But so my big thing is,
Okay,
if we can get those cameras, I know they would make a big difference. And so oh my God, so this is one question or just one comment. So I went in one of the South Side alleys, and when you go in the alley, it says, "Hey, there is illegal dump. Any illegal dumping takes place, there's an actual voice that comes on. You'll be prosecuted." It was crazy. So I would like, if you could, Ms. Williams, to find out what alley that's in. That gotta be a community, a city-owned intercom system, or even if that's difficult to find, if we can find something to where when people pull in these alleys, when we have those cameras up, there's something that comes on over intercom and says, "Hey, you're in a no dumping zone." I mean, when I say that was pretty cool to me hearing that. I think that would be interesting to have in our areas also. Folks would immediately be alerted. So therefore we don't catch them on after the fact. We're giving you an alert before you get here. You have to actually choose to dump her after hearing that recording. So, I think that'd be interesting too. I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, if you can tell me that alley, then I definitely would travel there. But
I don't know where he was.
I have no clue.
Oh, I'm like,
No,
because I'm
look, I
sure
wasn't-
that's not a city service, but I mean, if it's something that I can go and look at to prevent illegal dumping, I definitely will look into it. But yeah, if you think of where this alley is, then, you know, let me know. And as I'm out riding, I'll let my window down and listen for it. But yeah, this is my first time hearing of that. But if it's something that can be implemented that we can look at, we definitely will look at it. But I can pretty much guarantee you that's not something the
Not
city
city,
is
okay.
putting out.
if I found something like that, maybe over the internet, because of how technology has changed, something where we can have a pre-recorded message that gets activated as soon as someone pulls inside of someone's alley after a certain time, that recorded message get played. You know, would you be maybe, you know, if that's something, of course, the whole city doesn't have to start off wanting to buy those things, but, you know, would you be amenable maybe having a few of those put up just to see how they work? Because I will go look for them. I love technology. I'll go find them. If we can't find it in the alley, I'll find it on the internet, you know, and I'll, you know, I think it'd be, yeah, I mean, when I say that's pretty cool, to let you know, hey, if you dump her, we got you.
Yeah, we can look into them and see what it costs and, you know, what we can do. If you can find it, when I say I'm open to solutions, just as well as I'm open to concerns, I'm open to solutions. So if that's a solution, please let me know and we will look into it.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. And I do want to add one more thing. I do appreciate you helping us out with the dumpster there, helping out our elderly. So for the folks that are on the committee, just want to put that out there. One of our elderly needed a really rotten garage torn down. It was falling completely apart, having rodents and all kind of stuff inside of it. One of our contractors helped tear it down, and Ms. Williams helped us get a dumpster on city property so we can remove some of that debris where it was plaguing that elderly person's home. So we do appreciate you. Just want to let you know we appreciate you.
We are here to serve as much as we can.
All right,
Thank you.
I gotta go eat now. Okay, thank you very much. I'd move to adjourn. All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. We are adjourned. And thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.